The night I discovered I was carrying a dead man's baby, a killer walked into my diner, and he wasn't there for the coffee. My name is Maya Carter, and 3 months ago I made a mistake that would shatter everything I thought I knew about survival. One night, one stranger, one lie that pulled me into a world where money flows like blood, and both are equally cheap. Before we dive in, hit that like button and drop a comment with your city. I want to see how far this story travels. Now, let me take you back to where it all began. The fluorescent lights in Mel's diner buzzed like trapped insects, casting that sickly yellow glow that made everyone look half dead. Fitting, really, considering how I felt most nights. It was 11:47 p.m. on a Tuesday, and I was wiping down the same booth for the third time because standing still meant thinking, and thinking meant remembering that my rent was 12 days overdue. You gonna buff a hole through that table or what? I glanced up at Rochelle, my coworker, who was counting tips at the register. Her box braids were pulled back in a ponytail, and she had that look, the one that said she knew exactly how close I was to breaking. Just being thorough, I said, forcing something resembling a smile. Thorough's gonna get you fired for wasting cleaning solution. She snapped her gum. Go home, Maya. You've been here since 6 a.m. Say, double shift means double pay. Double pay means nothing if you collapse. Rochelle's voice softened. When's the last time you ate something that wasn't stale fries? I couldn't remember. My stomach had been doing this weird thing lately, growling and churning at the same time, like it couldn't decide if it was hungry or trying to reject everything inside it. Probably stress. Everything was stress these days. The bell above the door chimed. We both turned. 3 men walked in, and the temperature in the room seemed to drop 10 degrees. You know how sometimes you can just tell? That animal instinct that screams danger even when nothing obvious is wrong? These men wore expensive suits, too expensive for this neighborhood, too crisp for this hour. The one in front was tall, dark-haired, maybe mid-30s, with a face that looked like it had been carved from marble by someone who understood beauty, but not warmth. We're about to close, Rochelle called out, her voice tight. The man in front didn't even look at her. His eyes, gray, cold, calculating, locked onto me. We'll be quick, he said. His voice was smooth, controlled, the kind of voice that didn't need to rise to be heard. Coffee. Black. The other 2 men spread out, flanking the door, not obviously threatening, but positioned. Strategic. Sure thing, I heard myself say. My hands moved on autopilot, grabbing the pot, pouring 3 cups even though only one had been ordered. Old habit. Keep people happy. Don't make waves. I brought the cups over on a tray. Up close, the lead man was even more unsettling. Not because he was ugly, the opposite actually, in that way that felt dangerous rather than attractive. Sharp jawline, perfect posture, eyes that tracked my every movement like I was a problem he was trying to solve. Anything else? I asked, setting down the cups. Your name. My heart stuttered. Excuse me? Your name, he repeated, adding sugar to his coffee with deliberate precision. 1 packet, 2. He didn't look up. It's Maya, isn't it? The tray slipped from my hands. I caught it before it hit the floor, but the damage was done. He'd seen my reaction. How do you have 13 minutes left on your shift? He finally looked up, and I felt pinned by that gaze. I'll wait. Look, I don't know who you think I am. Maya Elizabeth Carter. Born March 14th, 1995. Graduated from PS 145. Barely. Father unknown. Mother deceased. Overdose when you were 16. Been working here 8 months. Before that, bartending at the Rusty Nail until the owner went bankrupt. Living at 847 Amsterdam Avenue, apartment 4C, though you're behind on rent and will likely be evicted within the month. The room tilted. Rochelle had stopped counting money, her hand hovering over the register like she was debating whether to hit the silent alarm. Who the hell are you? My voice came out smaller than I wanted. Someone who knows things. He took a sip of coffee, made a face, set it down. Someone who needs to talk to you about a mutual acquaintance. Daniel Moretti. Ring any bells? The name hit me like a fist to the gut. Daniel, 3 months ago. The downtown bar. Too many drinks. His smile, easy and warm. Nothing like this man's calculated coldness. His hands, gentle. His promises, probably lies. One night. One stupid, reckless night when I'd convinced myself that maybe, just maybe, I deserved something good. I hadn't heard from him since. Typical. I don't know what you're talking about, I said, but my voice shook. The man smiled. It didn't reach his eyes. 12 minutes now. I'll be outside when you're done. He stood, buttoned his suit jacket. Don't try to run. You wouldn't make it to the subway. He left. His men followed. The bell chimed cheerfully, completely at odds with the lead weight in my stomach. Maya, Rochelle grabbed my arm. What the actual fuck was that? I don't know. My hands were shaking. I should call the police. And tell them what? Rich guys drank coffee and knew your address? She was right, but that didn't make me feel better. Do you know them? No, maybe. I don't. The room was spinning. That nausea again, stronger this time. I need to sit down. You need to go out the back. Right now. But something stopped me. Maybe curiosity. Maybe the fatalistic certainty that if these men wanted to find me, they would. Maybe the sick feeling that this was connected to the other sick feeling, the one I'd been ignoring for weeks. The one that had made me buy a pregnancy test 3 days ago. The one I still hadn't opened. I'll be fine, I lied. It's probably nothing. Nothing doesn't walk in here looking like the mob and knowing your social security number. I don't think he mentioned my social... He knew your birthday, Maya. Your exact birthday. That's not nothing. She was right, but I was already untying my apron, grabbing my jacket from the back. Some part of me, the stupid part probably, needed to know what this was about. Needed to know what Daniel had done, what I'd gotten mixed up in just by spending one night with him. The November air bit into my skin as I stepped outside. The man was leaning against a black Mercedes, smoking a cigarette. Under the streetlight, he looked even more out of place. Too polished, too powerful for this neighborhood of broken storefronts and graffitied walls. Smart choice, he said, exhaling smoke. I don't feel very smart right now. No, I imagine you don't. He crushed the cigarette under an expensive leather shoe. Get in the car. Absolutely not. It's not a request. Then it's a kidnapping. He actually laughed at that. Sharp, humorless. Fair point. Let me rephrase. Get in the car, or I'll tell you what I have to say right here on the street, and you'll wish we'd had this conversation somewhere private. Is that a threat? It's a courtesy. There are people looking for you, Maya. People who won't be as patient as I'm being. The nausea surged again. I pressed a hand to my stomach without thinking, a gesture he caught immediately. His eyes narrowed. When did you last see my brother? Brother? The pieces clicked together sickeningly. The resemblance was there if you looked for it. Same bone structure, same height. But where Daniel had been warm and open, this man was locked down tight, every emotion controlled. August, I whispered. One night. I haven't heard from him since. Of course you haven't. Bitterness crept into his voice. Daniel's always been good at leaving messes for other people to clean up. How far along are you? The question knocked the air from my lungs. I haven't. Don't insult my intelligence. You're pale, nauseous, and you've been touching your stomach unconsciously for the past 2 minutes. How far? I don't know. The truth spilled out before I could stop it. I haven't taken the test. I've been too, scared? Broke. The good ones are expensive. Something flickered across his face. Almost sympathy. Almost. Get in the car, Maya, please. I promise you're safer with me than out here. Maybe it was exhaustion. Maybe it was the way he said please, like the word cost him something. Maybe it was the growing certainty that my life had just veered off course in a way I couldn't control. I got in the car. The interior smelled like leather and money. One of his men drove. The other sat in front, silent. The man, Daniel's brother, sat beside me, maintaining a careful distance. I'm Adrian, he said, since we're past this point of formalities. Are you going to tell me what this is about? I'm going to tell you several things, and none of them are going to be pleasant. He pulled out his phone, swiped through something, then handed it to me. First, I'm going to show you who Daniel really is. The screen showed a police report. Multiple charges. Fraud, embezzlement, theft. Amounts with too many zeros. My vision blurred. That's impossible. He worked in finance. He said he was a junior analyst at a hedge fund. Yes, that was the cover story. Adrian took the phone back. In reality, he was stealing from my organization, $50 million over 3 years, carefully siphoned through shell companies and offshore accounts. Your organization? My throat was dry. What kind of organization? He looked at me for a long moment, calculating. The kind that doesn't involve police when someone steals from us. Oh, you're... I couldn't even say it. I prefer businessman, but if you're asking if I operate outside the law, then yes. My family has controlled certain interests in this city for 3 generations. He said it matter-of-factly, like discussing the weather. Daniel was supposed to take over one day. Instead, he took the money and ran. And you think I know where he is? I think you're the last person he had contact with before he disappeared. I think he's sentimental enough to have told you something useful, even if you didn't realize it. And I think... He paused, eyes dropping to my stomach again. I think he left behind a complication that makes you a target. A target for what? The people he stole from aren't just my organization, Maya. He was stupid enough to take money from the Italians, the Russians, the Colombians. He spread his theft around, thinking it would be harder to trace. Instead, he made enemies of everyone. Adrian's voice went flat. Right now, at least 4 different groups are looking for anyone connected to him. Family, friends, one-night stands. The car was moving through darker streets now, away from anything familiar. Panic clawed at my throat. Where are we going? Somewhere safe. That's not an answer. It's the only one you're getting right now. He leaned forward, tapped the driver's shoulder. Stop here. We pulled over in front of a 24-hour pharmacy. Adrian got out, gestured for me to follow. Inside, the fluorescent lights were even harsher than the diner. A bored clerk looked up from their phone, then quickly looked away when they saw Adrian's face. He walked straight to the family planning aisle, grabbed 3 different pregnancy tests, the expensive ones, and went to the counter. Paid cash. Didn't make eye contact. Here. He handed me the bag outside. You need to know for sure. I'm not taking a pregnancy test in a car with you watching. There's a gas station 2 blocks north, public bathroom. One of my men will stand guard outside. This is insane. This is practical. He pulled out a cigarette, didn't light it, just held it. If you're pregnant with my brother's child, you're carrying a $50 million liability. Every organization he stole from will want leverage. A child, especially an heir to my family, is leverage. I'm not having this baby. The words came out automatic, defensive. That's your choice, but you need to make it with all the information. His eyes softened, just slightly. Take the test, Maya. Then we'll talk about options. The gas station bathroom was exactly as disgusting as expected. Graffiti covered the walls, the lock barely worked, and something sticky covered the floor. I balanced the pregnancy test box on the edge of the sink, hands shaking so hard I could barely open it. 3 tests. I took all 3. Then I waited. Through the thin door, I could hear Adrian's man outside, his bulk blocking anyone else from entering. My whole life had narrowed to this moment. This dingy bathroom, these plastic sticks, these 3 minutes that felt like hours. My phone buzzed. Rochelle. R. You okay? M. Define okay. R. Are you in danger? I looked at the tests, at the door, at my reflection in the cracked mirror, pale, exhausted, scared. M. I don't know yet. R. I'm calling the cops. M. Don't. I'm fine. I'll explain later. M. I think. The timer on my phone went off. I looked at the tests. All 3 showed the same result. Positive. I stared at those 2 lines until they blurred, felt my knees go weak. Grabbed the sink to stay upright. A baby. I was going to have a baby. Daniel's baby. The baby of a man I barely knew, who'd lied about everything, who'd stolen millions and vanished, who'd left me carrying something that was apparently worth killing for. I was going to throw up. I did throw up violently until there was nothing left. Then I sat on the disgusting floor, back against the wall, and tried to remember how to breathe. A knock on the door. Miss Carter? The guard's voice, surprisingly gentle. You all right? Fine, I choked out. Just give me a minute. But I didn't have a minute. I didn't have anything except a positive pregnancy test and a criminal waiting outside who just told me I was a target. When I finally emerged, Adrian was leaning against the Mercedes, that unlit cigarette still in his hand. He took one look at my face and knew. Positive. I nodded. He closed his eyes briefly like he was calculating something unpleasant. All right, new plan. There was an old plan? The old plan involved finding out if you knew anything useful and then setting you up somewhere safe with enough money to disappear. The new plan, he opened the car door. The new plan is more complicated. I don't want complicated. I want to go home. Your apartment is being watched. Has been for 2 days. The world tilted again. By who? We're not sure yet. Could be Russians, could be Italians, could be independent contractors hired by any of the groups looking for Daniel. He gestured to the car. You can't go back there, Maya. Not now. Maybe not ever. This is insane. I didn't do anything wrong. I met a guy at a bar. That's it. That's the whole story. I know. And I'm sorry. He actually sounded sorry, which somehow made it worse. But Daniel made you part of this whether you wanted to be or not. And now you're carrying something that makes you valuable to very dangerous people. I'm not keeping it. The words came out harsh, desperate. I don't have money for a baby. I can barely afford rent. And now you're telling me people want to kill me? No, absolutely not. Adrian was quiet for a moment. When he spoke, his voice was careful. Like I said, that's your choice. But you should make it from a position of safety, not panic. Come with me tonight. Sleep somewhere secure. Tomorrow, when you've had time to think, we'll discuss all your options, including termination, if that's what you decide. I'll pay for it. I'll pay for whatever you need. Why would you do that? Because this isn't your fault. Simple. Direct. My brother dragged you into this. The least I can do is get you out. I wanted to argue. Wanted to tell him to go to hell, that I'd figure this out myself. But the truth was, I was broke, pregnant, and apparently being hunted by multiple criminal organizations. Pride was a luxury I couldn't afford. One night, I said, tomorrow, I'm gone. Fair enough. The drive took 40 minutes, heading north into neighborhoods I'd only seen in movies. The buildings got taller, newer, more expensive. The Mercedes pulled into an underground garage beneath a building that was all glass and steel, the kind of place where the doormen wore better suits than most CEOs. This is your place? I asked as the elevator shot upward, my ears popping from the speed. One of them. Of course, because why have one luxury penthouse when you could have several? The elevator opened directly into his apartment. Not a hallway, not a lobby, just straight into a massive open space with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. Central Park spread out below like a dark ocean. The lights of Manhattan glittered in every direction. Jesus, I whispered. Guest room is this way. Adrian's voice was all business now. He led me down a hallway, opened a door to a bedroom that was bigger than my entire apartment. King-sized bed, attached bathroom, a view that probably cost more per month than I made in a year. There are clothes in the closet, various sizes. Help yourself. Bathroom's stocked. If you need anything, the kitchen is fully equipped. My room is at the other end of the hall. He paused at the door. For what it's worth, you're safe here. This building has security that most government facilities would envy. Am I a guest or a prisoner? Honestly, I'm not sure yet. At least he was honest. Get some sleep, Maya. Tomorrow we'll figure this out. He left, closing the door behind him. I heard his footsteps retreat, heard another door close in the distance. I was alone, in a stranger's apartment, pregnant with his criminal brother's baby, being hunted by people I'd never met. I sat on the edge of the bed, still wearing my diner uniform that smelled like fryer oil in desperation, and tried to process any of it. Failed. Gave up. Decided to take a shower instead because at least that was something I could control. The bathroom was obscene, marble everywhere, a shower that could fit 6 people. Heated floor. I turned the water as hot as I could stand and just stood there, letting it wash away the grease and the fear and the overwhelming certainty that my life would never be the same. When I finally emerged, wrapped in a towel that probably cost more than my security deposit, I found clothes laid out on the bed. Not the closet clothes, fresh ones. Women's clothes, in approximately my size. Soft gray sweatpants, a black t-shirt, even underwear, tags still on. A note sat on top, written in sharp, precise handwriting. These should fit better than the closet options. Help yourself to food. We'll talk in the morning. I should have been creeped out that he somehow knew my size. Should have been angry that he was making decisions for me. Should have been a lot of things. Instead, I put on the clothes, crawled into bed, and cried. I woke to sunlight streaming through unfamiliar windows and the smell of coffee. For one blessed moment, I forgot where I was. Forgot everything. Then it crashed back. Daniel, Adrian, the pregnancy tests, the threat. I checked my phone. 9:47 a.m. 17 missed calls from Rochelle. 3 from my landlord. 1 from a number I didn't recognize. And a text from Adrian sent an hour ago. There's breakfast in the kitchen? Take your time. I found him at the kitchen island, laptop open, wearing different clothes but the same controlled expression. He looked up when I entered, eyes doing a quick assessment, checking if I'd run, if I'd called someone, if I was still here. Coffee? He offered. I probably shouldn't. I touched my stomach without thinking. The caffeine. There's decaf and tea, orange juice, water. He gestured to a spread that looked like a hotel buffet. I wasn't sure what you'd want. I want to go home. I know. He closed his laptop. But I need you to look at something first. He pulled up security footage on his phone and handed it to me. The screen showed my apartment building, the front entrance. Timestamp, 6:23 a.m. this morning. 2 men stood outside, waiting, watching. Russians, Adrian said quietly. The one on the left is Alexei Volkov, enforcer for the Mogilevich organization. The other one I don't recognize, which is almost worse, means they're bringing in outside help. My hands went numb. How do you know they're looking for me? Because 20 minutes before this footage, they broke into your apartment. He swiped to another video. My door, clearly forced. The men going inside, searching, tearing through my meager possessions. They're desperate, Maya, which makes them sloppy, but also dangerous. What do they want? Information about Daniel, leverage to make him return the money, or, he paused, or they want to send him a message using you. A message. My voice sounded hollow. He stole from them. They want him to hurt. Adrian's eyes were cold. The best way to hurt someone is through the people they care about. But he doesn't care about me. He barely knew me. They don't know that. All they know is you're the last person he had contact with before he vanished. And now, he gestured at my stomach. Now you're carrying his child. That makes you valuable. I sank onto one of the bar stools, legs suddenly unable to hold me. This can't be happening. I've already moved your things from the apartment, what little there was. He must have seen my expression because he added, I sent people at 5 a.m. before the Russians arrived. Your clothes, photos, documents, everything's in storage, safe. You went through my stuff. I had people go through your stuff. There's a difference. Not really. Maya. He leaned forward, and for the first time I saw something other than cold calculation in his eyes. Concern, maybe. Or the closest thing he could manage. I know this is overwhelming. I know you don't trust me, and you have every reason not to. But right now, I'm the only thing standing between you and some very bad outcomes. So what do you want? What's your angle in all this? I want my brother to face consequences for what he's done. I want my money back. I want to prevent a war between 5 different organizations that's currently brewing because everyone blames everyone else for Daniel's theft. He's straightened, and I want to make sure an innocent woman doesn't get caught in the crossfire. How noble. I'm not noble, Maya. Don't mistake pragmatism for virtue. His voice hardened. You dying doesn't help me. You disappearing doesn't help me. You staying alive and safe until I can resolve this situation, that helps me. So I'm useful. Yes, but that doesn't mean I want you hurt. Somehow, his honesty was almost reassuring. At least I knew where I stood. How long? I asked. How long do I have to stay hidden? Days? Weeks? Depends on how quickly I can track down Daniel and resolve this. He pulled up another file on his laptop. I have people looking. He's good, but he's not as good as he thinks. He'll surface eventually. And then what? Then I make him fix what he broke. I poured myself orange juice with shaking hands, drank it too fast, felt it curdle in my already unstable stomach. I can't just hide here indefinitely. I have a job, rent, a life. You had a life. He said it gently, but it landed like a punch. Right now, you have survival. We'll work on rebuilding the rest once you're not in immediate danger. I hate you. The words slipped out before I could stop them. That's fair. I hate Daniel more. Also fair. And I really need to throw up. I made it to the bathroom just in time. Morning sickness or stress or the entire situation. Probably all three. When I came out, Adrian was holding a ginger ale and a package of crackers. This helped my sister-in-law, he said, when she was pregnant. You have a sister-in-law? Had. She died 2 years ago. Cancer. He set down the crackers. My brother Marco's wife. They had 3 kids. After she passed, he fell apart for a while. I watched him go through it. The nausea, the fear, the overwhelming sense of, what the hell am I doing? A pause. Obviously, your situation is different, but some things are universal. It was the most human thing he'd said. I took the ginger ale. Thank you. He nodded, started to leave, then stopped. For what it's worth, I meant what I said. Whatever you decide about the pregnancy, I'll support it. If you want to terminate, I'll arrange it safely. If you want to keep it, I'll make sure you and the child are protected. No strings. Why? Because my brother created this situation, and I'm not going to compound his mistakes by making your choices for you. He met my eyes. You've had enough taken from you already. The days blurred together. Adrian left most mornings, returning late with terse updates. Still looking. No luck yet. Stay put. I stayed put. The apartment was a cage, even if it was a gilded one. I wandered the rooms, counted the windows, tried to read books from his extensive library and couldn't focus. Watched the city below and felt like I was trapped in a tower, waiting for a rescue that would never come. Adrian's staff came and went, a housekeeper who didn't speak to me, a chef who left prepared meals in the fridge, guards who rotated shifts at the elevator. All of them looked at me like I was a problem they'd been assigned to manage. On day 4, I broke. I need to get out, I told Adrian when he returned that evening. I need air, sunlight, something that isn't these 4 walls. Too dangerous. I don't care. I'm going stir-crazy. He studied me for a long moment, then sighed. Tomorrow, I'll take you somewhere. Where? Somewhere secure. The next morning, we left before sunrise. Adrian drove this time, a different car, something sleek and black and expensive. We headed north out of the city into areas where buildings gave way to trees. Where are we going? I asked for the 3rd time. You said you needed air. An hour later, we pulled up to a house. No, not a house. An estate, set back from the road, surrounded by walls and gates and cameras. The kind of place where very important or very paranoid people lived. This is your family's house, I guessed. My father's. Before he died. Adrian pulled through the gates. No one uses it much anymore. Marco's kids come sometimes, but mostly it sits empty. It was beautiful in that old money way. Stone facade, ivy-covered walls, gardens that probably required a full-time staff to maintain. The kind of place I'd only ever seen in movies. Come on, Adrian said, getting out. There's something I want to show you. He led me around the back, past manicured lawns, to a greenhouse I hadn't noticed from the front. Inside it was warm and humid, full of plants I couldn't name, flowers in colors I didn't know existed. My mother's project, Adrian explained, running his hand over a leaf. She spent hours in here, said it was the only place she felt peaceful. Did she? I wasn't sure how to ask. Died when I was 12, car accident. He said it without emotion, like reciting a fact. Daniel was 8, took it harder than I did. I'm sorry. It was a long time ago. He moved deeper into the greenhouse. She used to say that some things grow better when they're protected, that sometimes what looks like a cage is actually just shelter until something's strong enough to survive outside. I understood what he was trying to say. Didn't mean I liked it. I'm not a plant, Adrian. No, you're stronger than most plants. He turned to face me. But you're also not invincible. Neither is the life you're carrying. My hand went to my stomach. I'd been doing that more lately. unconscious, like acknowledging it made it more real. Have you thought about what you want to do? He asked. Every minute of every day. And? And I don't know. The truth felt like failure. I never wanted kids, could never afford them, never had time to think about them. But now that it's real, now that it's here, I pressed harder against my stomach. I don't know if I can go through with it. Either option. Both options are hard. Yeah. I looked at the flowers, their impossible colors. Your mother would have probably had good advice. She would have told you to trust yourself, that you're stronger than you think. He smiled slightly. She said that to me a lot, usually when I was being stubborn. Were you stubborn often? Always. Still am. The smile faded. It's kept me alive in a business where flexibility usually means compromise, and compromise means weakness. Is that what I am? Compromise? No. He said it firmly. You're collateral damage I'm trying to prevent. There's a difference. We stayed in the greenhouse for an hour. Adrian talked about his mother, his father, the business he'd inherited at 19 when his father died, the weight of expectations, the isolation of power. I told him about my mother, the addiction that had eaten her alive, the foster homes after, the struggle to survive on my own. It felt strange, trading traumas with a man I barely knew. Stranger still that it helped. On the drive back, my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but Adrian gestured for me to pick up. Hello? Silence. Then breathing. Then a voice. Male. Unfamiliar. Is this Maya Carter? My blood went cold. Who is this? Someone who knows what you're carrying. Someone who knows what it's worth. The voice was calm, almost pleasant. We need to talk. Adrian's hand shot out, but I was already hanging up, already shaking. They have my number, I whispered. They know who I am. How long has that number been active? I don't. 4 years? 5? They pulled it from databases, probably bribed someone at your phone company. He was already making calls, rapid-fire instructions in Italian to someone on the other end. We need to move you. Move me where? Somewhere they can't track. New phone, new identity, new... I can't just disappear, Adrian. I have friends, a job. Your friends think you took an unexpected trip. I already had your work covered, told them you had a family emergency and would be gone a few weeks. He was driving faster now, weaving through traffic. And after that call, none of it matters. They're escalating. Who's they? Could be anyone. Could be all of them working together. He took a turn too fast. Either way, you're not safe anymore. Not here, not anywhere I've taken you before. So what do I do? His jaw tightened. You trust me. Completely. Starting now. Some. The new apartment was smaller, more secure. No windows, 3 locked doors, guards stationed outside around the clock. I'd gone from a gilded cage to a bunker. Adrian stayed close now. Not in the apartment, that would have been too much, but nearby. Always reachable, always checking in. On day 8, he came back with news. We found him. I looked up from the book I'd been pretending to read. Daniel? Hiding in a beach house in the Cayman Islands. Paid for with stolen money, living under a fake name. Adrian's voice was tight with barely controlled rage. He's been there the whole time, drinking cocktails while people hunted the woman carrying his child. Are you going to kill him? The question should have scared me. It didn't. Adrian was quiet for a moment. No, but I'm going to make him wish I had. I want to come with you. Absolutely not. He's the reason I'm here. The reason my life fell apart. I deserve to look him in the eye. I stood up, surprising myself with how steady I felt. I'm coming, Adrian. It's too dangerous. Everything's too dangerous, but I'm done hiding. I met his eyes. Take me with you, or I'll find my way there myself. He stared at me for a long time. Then, slowly, he nodded. Tomorrow, he said. We leave tomorrow. The plane was private. Of course it was. We left before dawn, just me and Adrian and 2 of his men. The flight took 4 hours. I spent most of it staring out the window, trying to figure out what I'd say when I saw Daniel again. The man who'd smiled at me across a bar, who'd told me I was beautiful, who'd made me feel, for one night, like maybe I wasn't alone. The man who'd lied about everything and left me to face the consequences. The beach house was exactly what you'd picture. White walls, blue shutters, palm trees swaying in the breeze, paradise built on stolen money. Adrian's men went in first, professional, quick. I heard shouting, a crash, then silence. "Clear!" one of them called. Adrian gestured for me to follow. Daniel was in the living room being held by two guards. He looked different, tan, relaxed, hair longer than I remembered. He saw Adrian first and his face went white. Then he saw me, and something in his expression crumbled. "Maya," he whispered. "Oh no, 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 no." "Hello, Daniel." My voice surprised me with its steadiness. "I'm so sorry. I never meant for you to. I didn't know they'd—" He was babbling, fighting against the guards holding him. "Adrian, please. She's innocent. Whatever this is about, leave her out of it." "I would love to," Adrian said coldly. "Unfortunately, you already dragged her into it. The night you slept with her, the night you disappeared, the night you decided saving your own skin was more important than considering consequences." Daniel's eyes dropped to my stomach, still mostly flat, but he understood. "You're pregnant. 3 months." I said it clearly, wanting him to hear every syllable. "With your baby. The baby I found out about while your brother told me that multiple criminal organizations want to kill me for leverage. I didn't know. You didn't care." The anger surprised me. I thought I'd be scared or sad, or something softer. Instead, I was furious. "You knew what you were doing, Daniel. You knew who you were stealing from. You knew you'd have to run, and you knew that anyone connected to you would be in danger. I thought I'd covered my tracks. I thought if I just disappeared—" "You thought about yourself." Adrian's voice cut like a knife. "Like always. Like you've done your entire life. Everyone else can burn as long as you're safe. That's not fair." "Fair?" Adrian moved closer and Daniel flinched. "You stole $50 million from our family's organization. You stole from the Russians, the Italians, people who've spent decades building relationships with us. You've put everything I've worked for at risk. And worst of all," he gestured to me, "you left an innocent woman to face the consequences of your cowardice. I didn't mean to—" "You never mean to. That's the problem." Adrian turned away, disgusted. "Maya, you have the floor. Whatever you want to say to him, say it now." I looked at Daniel. Really looked at him. Tried to see the man I'd thought he was. The man who'd made me laugh and feel safe for one night. He wasn't there. Maybe he'd never been there. "I don't want anything from you," I said finally. "I don't want your money, your apologies, your promises. I don't want you in my life or my child's life. I want you to be nothing to us." "Maya, I'm not finished." My voice hardened. "You asked if I was keeping the baby. I didn't know. I've spent days trying to figure out what to do, what's right, what I can handle. But seeing you now, seeing what you really are," I touched my stomach. "This child deserves better than you. Better than your lies, your cowardice, your selfishness. So yes, I'm keeping it, and you'll never be part of its life." Daniel's face crumpled. "Please, Adrian," I said, turning away. "I'm done here. Do whatever you need to do. I don't care." Outside, the sun was setting over perfect blue water. I heard shouting behind me, Daniel pleading, Adrian giving orders in that cold, controlled voice. I kept walking. One of Adrian's men caught up to me at the beach. "Miss Carter, Mr. Moretti said to tell you the plane's ready when you are." "Is he going to kill Daniel?" The man hesitated. "No, ma'am, but I wouldn't want to be in his shoes right now." "Good." We flew back in silence. Adrian sat across from me, making calls, giving orders, dismantling whatever life Daniel had built here. I watched the ocean disappear below us and tried to figure out what came next. "You did well," Adrian said finally, after his last call ended. "I don't feel like I did anything. You faced him. You made your choice clear. That takes strength. I just feel tired." "Oh, that's because you've been carrying this alone." He leaned forward. "But you don't have to anymore. The money Daniel stole, I'll recover most of it. The organizations looking for him, I'll handle them. Your safety, your child's future, I'll make sure both are secure." "Why?" The question I'd been holding back for days. "Why do you care so much? I'm nothing to you." A mistake your brother made. You're an innocent person caught in my world through no fault of your own. He said it simply. And maybe, he paused, maybe I'm tired of watching people I care about get hurt by my brother's choices. You care about me? I'm starting to. He said it like it surprised him as much as it surprised me, which is inconvenient and possibly dangerous, but there it is. I should have been scared, should have pushed back. Instead, I felt something settle in my chest, something like relief. Okay, I said, okay? Okay, I'll let you help. I'll stay in the safe house. I'll follow your rules. I met his eyes. But when this is over, when it's safe, I want my life back, or some version of it. I can't live in hiding forever. When it's safe, he promised, you'll have whatever life you choose. The plane touched down just before midnight. New York spread out below us, a million lights in the darkness. Somewhere down there was my old apartment, my old job, my old life. All of it was gone now. But as we drove back to the safe house, Adrian's presence steady beside me, I realized maybe that wasn't entirely a bad thing. Some things you have to lose before you can find something better. I just hoped I'd survive long enough to find out what that was. The safe house smelled like bleach and something else. Fear, maybe, or just the staleness of recycled air. Maya had been back for 3 days since the Cayman Islands, and the walls were already closing in again. No windows meant no sense of time, just the fluorescent lights that buzzed constantly and made her head ache. She was lying on the couch, hand pressed against her stomach where the nausea lived these days, when Adrian walked in without knocking. He never knocked anymore. We have a problem, he said. Maya didn't even open her eyes. Just one? That's an improvement. The Russians know about the Caymans. They know I found Daniel. That got her attention. She sat up too fast, felt the room spin. How? Someone talked. Could be one of my men. Could be someone at the airport. Could be Daniel himself trying to broker a deal. Adrian's jaw was tight. Either way, they're accelerating their timeline. Meaning what? Meaning they want their money back, and they want it now. They've given me 72 hours to produce either Daniel or full restitution. Or? He didn't answer, which was answer enough. Maya stood up, steadied herself against the couch arm. So give them Daniel. Problem solved. It's not that simple. He spent most of the money. What's left is scattered across accounts I can't access without him cooperating, and he's... Adrian paused. He's not being cooperative. Where is he now? Secure location. Being questioned. The way he said questioned made Maya's stomach turn. But he's claiming he can't access the accounts, that he set up dead man's switches, that if anything happens to him, the money disappears permanently. Is he lying? Probably, but I can't risk it. Adrian ran his hand through his hair, and for the first time since she'd met him, he looked tired. Actually tired. The Russians don't care about the technicalities. They want results, or they want blood. And I'm the blood they're planning to spill. You're leverage. The baby is leverage. He moved to the small kitchen, poured himself water he didn't drink. They've made it clear that if I don't deliver, they'll take matters into their own hands. Maya's hand went protectively to her stomach. So what do? We move you again. Somewhere they can't find, somewhere even I can barely access. I have a place upstate, completely off the books. No. The word came out harder than she intended. No more hiding. No more running. Maya, I'm serious. She was surprised by how calm she felt. I've spent weeks locked in rooms, watching my life disappear piece by piece. And for what? So your brother can keep playing games while everyone else pays the price? What are you suggesting? I'm suggesting we use me. The idea had been forming for days, crystallizing now into something almost like a plan. They want leverage? Fine. Let them think they have it. Set up a meeting, make them think they can get to me, then turn it around on them. Adrian stared at her like she'd lost her mind. Absolutely not. Why not? Because you're not trained for this. Because one wrong move and you're dead. Because I'm not using a pregnant woman as bait. But I'm already bait, Maya shot back. That's what you said. I'm leverage. So let's use that instead of just being victims of it. You don't understand what you're asking. Then explain it to me. Stop treating me like I'm fragile. Adrian set down his glass hard enough that water sloshed over the edge. Fine. You want honesty? Here's honesty. These people don't negotiate. They don't show mercy. If they get their hands on you, they'll hurt you in ways designed to make Daniel cooperate. And if he doesn't cooperate, they'll hurt you worse. And when you're no longer useful, they'll kill you and dump your body somewhere it'll take months to find. His voice was flat, clinical. That's what you're volunteering for. The room was very quiet. Okay, Maya said finally. So we make sure they don't get their hands on me. We make them think they can, but we control every variable. There are no controlled variables with the Russian mob. Then what's your plan? Keep moving me around until Daniel decides to cooperate? Until the Russians get tired of waiting? She moved closer. How long do you think that'll work? Long enough for me to find another solution. There is no other solution. You said it yourself. You spent the money. You can't access what's left. The clock is ticking. She grabbed his arm. Let me help. I don't want your help. I want you safe. Why? The question hung between them. Why do you care so much? Adrian was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was softer. Because I've spent my entire life cleaning up Daniel's messes, fixing what he breaks, paying for his mistakes. And I'm tired of watching innocent people get destroyed because my brother can't handle the consequences of his actions. I'm not asking you to fix this alone. You're pregnant, Maya, with my brother's child. That's not a position you should have to fight from. I didn't ask for this position, but I'm in it anyway. She squeezed his arm. So let me do something instead of just being a problem you have to solve. He looked at her for a long time. She could see the calculation happening behind his eyes, weighing risks and options and outcomes. If we do this, he said finally, we do it my way, my rules. The second I say abort, you abort. No arguments, no hesitation. Agreed. And you follow every instruction exactly. You don't improvise. You don't try to be a hero. I'm not trying to be a hero. I'm trying to survive. Adrian pulled out his phone, made a call, spoke rapid Italian, too fast for Maya to follow, even if she'd understood the language. When he hung up, his expression was grim. We have 48 hours to set this up. If it goes wrong, it won't. You don't know that. No, Maya admitted. But I know hiding isn't working, and I know I'd rather go down fighting than waiting. Something flickered in Adrian's eyes. Respect, maybe. Or fear. All right, he said. Let's fight. The plan came together over the next day and a half. Adrian brought in people Maya had never seen. A woman who looked like a librarian but talked about kill zones and extraction points. A tech guy who set up surveillance equipment with the casual efficiency of someone assembling furniture. Two men who didn't give names and communicated mostly in nods. The meeting point is a restaurant in Brooklyn, Adrian explained, spreading out blueprints on the kitchen counter. Public enough that they won't try anything immediately. Private enough that we can control access. You'll be wearing a wire tracked by GPS with 3 teams positioned within a 100-yard radius. What's my job? Talk to them. Let them think they have the upper hand. We need them to reveal who else is involved, what they know about Daniel's accounts, and what their endgame is. And then? Then we see if we can negotiate, or if this turns into something uglier. Maya studied the blueprints. The restaurant had 2 exits, 1 kitchen entrance, and a private dining room in the back. They'll search me. For weapons, wires. The wire is subdermal, thin enough that even a thorough pat-down won't find it unless they're using metal detectors. The tech guy, Maya thought his name was Vincent, held up what looked like a grain of rice. It'll hurt going in and coming out, but it works. How much will it hurt? Enough. Adrian's voice was tight. You don't have to do this. Yes, I do. The insertion took 10 minutes in a bathroom that suddenly felt too small. The librarian woman, her name was Caroline, did the actual procedure with steady hands and zero bedside manner. Maya bit down on a towel and tried not to scream. Done, Caroline said, pressing gauze to the spot just below Maya's collarbone. Keep pressure on it for 5 minutes. Don't touch it for 24 hours. If it gets infected, you'll need antibiotics immediately. Will it work? If he doesn't cut it out of you, yes. Maya must have looked horrified because Adrian stepped in. That won't happen. They're not going to touch you. You can't promise that. I can promise I'll burn down every Russian operation in this city if they do. It wasn't reassuring exactly, but it was something. The meeting was set for 8 p.m. the following night. Maya spent the day trying not to throw up from nerves instead of morning sickness, though honestly it was hard to tell the difference anymore. She'd hit the 3-month mark, and her body was doing weird things. Random food cravings, exhaustion that came in waves, and a constant low-level nausea that made everything taste like cardboard. "Eat something," Adrian said, pushing a plate toward her. "Crackers and cheese, plain and safe." "Can't." "You need to. You're not just feeding yourself anymore." "Don't remind me." But she took a cracker, forced it down. "What if I mess this up?" "You won't." "You don't know that." "I know you're tougher than you think." He sat down across from her. "I've watched you handle everything we've thrown at you without breaking. That takes strength. Or stupidity. Sometimes they're the same thing." A ghost of a smile. "My father used to say the bravest people are just the ones too stubborn to know when to quit." "Was he brave?" "He was stubborn. Whether that made him brave or just lucky, I never figured out." Adrian's expression went distant. He died because he refused to back down from a fight he should have walked away from. Pride over pragmatism. "Do you think I'm being prideful?" "I think you're being desperate, which is more dangerous." Maya finished the cracker, reached for another. "Tell me about your family, the parts Daniel didn't ruin." Adrian was quiet for a moment. "My father built this organization from almost nothing, started as an enforcer for someone else, worked his way up, took over when his boss got sloppy. He was smart, ruthless when he needed to be, but fair. People respected him." "And your mother?" "Balanced him out. She could walk into a room full of criminals and make them feel like schoolboys caught stealing cookies." Warmth crept into his voice. "She's the reason the organization didn't tear itself apart after my father died. She brokered peace between families that had been feuding for decades." "She sounds incredible." "She was. Cancer took her 2 years before my father's heart gave out. After that," he shrugged, "things got harder. Daniel started acting out. Marco became obsessed with work. I became cold, efficient." But there was acknowledgement in his eyes. Someone had to hold it together. "That's a lot of weight for one person." "It's the job." Maya studied him. In the harsh fluorescent light, she could see the lines around his eyes, the tension he carried in his shoulders. "You ever think about walking away, doing something else?" "Every day." The admission surprised her. "But this is all I know, and people depend on me. I can't just—" He stopped. "The restaurant opens at 7. We need to leave by 7:30 to account for traffic." Subject changed. Message received. Maya spent the next hour getting ready. Caroline had brought clothes, dark jeans, a plain black shirt, a jacket with hidden pockets. Nothing flashy, nothing that would draw attention. Maya caught her reflection in the bathroom mirror and barely recognized herself. Pale, exhausted, scared. "You look fine," Caroline said from the doorway. "I look like I'm about to throw up." "You're supposed to look nervous. They'll expect that." She handed Maya an earpiece, nearly invisible. "This is one way. You'll hear Adrian and the team, but you can't respond verbally. If you need to signal distress, touch your left ear twice. If you need immediate extraction, touch it 3 times. What if I can't reach my ear? Then we're already in trouble." Caroline's expression softened slightly. "You're doing the right thing, for what it's worth." "Is it worth anything?" "Probably not, but it's true anyway." Adrian drove. No guards this time, no convoy. Just the 2 of them in a car that looked normal enough to blend in, but probably cost more than Maya had made in the last 5 years. "Remember," he said as they navigated through Brooklyn traffic, "you're playing a victim. Scared, overwhelmed, willing to cooperate if it means staying alive. That won't be hard. But don't give them too much. Make them work for information. The longer the conversation goes, the more we learn. And if they ask about the baby," Adrian's hands tightened on the wheel, "tell them the truth. You're 3 months pregnant. You don't want this life. You just want safety." Will they believe that? They'll want to believe it. It makes you easier to manipulate. The restaurant was in a neighborhood Maya didn't recognize. Industrial buildings mixed with new development, the kind of area that was gentrifying but still had edges. A valet took the car. Adrian walked her to the door, hand on her lower back. Remember the signals? He murmured. And Maya, whatever happens, you did nothing wrong. None of this is your fault. Then he was gone, disappearing down the street like he'd never been there. Maya walked inside alone. The restaurant was nicer than she expected. White tablecloths, candlelight, the kind of place where entrees cost more than her old weekly paycheck. A hostess approached, young and polished. Reservation? I'm meeting someone. Private room? Name? Maya's mind went blank. Adrian hadn't told her what name to use. The hostess was staring, waiting. Carter, Maya said finally, using her own name because she couldn't think of anything else. Right this way. The private room was in the back, just like the blueprints showed. One table, 4 chairs, walls that probably weren't soundproof but gave the illusion of privacy. A man was already seated facing the door. Not Russian, at least not what Maya expected a Russian mobster to look like. He was in his 50s, gray hair, expensive suit, reading glasses perched on his nose like he'd just come from a board meeting. Ms. Carter. He stood, gestured to a chair. Please sit. I've ordered wine, but I assume you're not drinking? Maya's hand went automatically to her stomach. No. Of course, sparkling water then. He poured her a glass from a bottle already on the table. My name is Dmitri. I represent certain business interests that you're... He paused. That Daniel Moretti has inconvenienced. I don't know where he is. I know. That's not why you're here. Dmitri sipped his wine. You're here because Adrian Moretti thinks he can use you as a negotiating chip. He thinks your presence will soften our approach, make us more reasonable. Maya's earpiece crackled. Adrian's voice, barely a whisper. Stay calm. Let him talk. I'm just trying to stay alive, Maya said. Understandable. And unnecessary. Dmitri leaned back. We have no interest in harming you, Miss Carter. You're an innocent party in this situation. Then why am I here? Because innocence doesn't equal irrelevance. He pulled out his phone, showed her a photo. Daniel, bound to a chair, blood on his face. Maya's stomach turned. Your child's father is proving difficult. Adrian won't give him to us, won't give us our money, and won't negotiate in good faith. What do you want from me? Honesty. Does Adrian have access to the stolen funds? Maya thought about lying, but something in Dimitri's eyes told her he'd know. I don't think so. Daniel won't cooperate. And the child you're carrying, does Adrian know it's not his brother's? The question hit like a physical blow. What? Come now, Ms. Carter. Do you really think we haven't done our homework? Dmitri pulled out another photo. Maya, leaving a clinic 2 weeks ago. That's a genetic testing facility. You went in, you gave samples. Why would you need genetic testing if you were certain of paternity? Her mouth went dry. I wanted to be sure. And are you sure? The truth was, she'd been too scared to check the results. Had gone to the clinic in a moment of panic, wanting answers but not ready to face them. The envelope was still sealed, hidden in a drawer at the safe house. The baby is Daniel's, she said. Prove it. I can't. The results aren't ready yet. Dmitri smiled. It wasn't kind. Convenient. Or perhaps you already know the truth and are hoping to use the pregnancy to secure Adrian's protection. A child that might be a Moretti heir is worth protecting. A child that definitely isn't. He shrugged. Less valuable. Adrian's voice in her ear. Don't engage, change the subject. But Maya was already talking. You think I planned this? Getting pregnant? Getting threatened? Living in hiding? You think any of this is what I wanted? I think you're smart enough to recognize an opportunity. Adrian Moretti is wealthy, powerful, and apparently has a soft spot for damsels in distress. Dmitri refilled his wine. I think you saw a way out of poverty and took it. You don't know anything about me. I know you've been poor your whole life. I know you've struggled, survived on minimum wage and tips, watched other people live the life you wanted. And then one night, you met a man who could change everything. He leaned forward. I'm not judging Ms. Carter. I'm simply pointing out that everyone has motivations, and yours are transparent. Touch your ear, Adrian's voice commanded. Signal distress. We're getting you out. But Maya didn't move. Couldn't move. Because some part of what Dmitri was saying felt true, or close enough to true, that it hurt. What do you want? she asked again. I want you to convince Adrian to stop protecting Daniel. Give us access to him. Let us extract the information we need, and this ends. And if I can't convince him, then we'll need to apply different pressure. Dimitri's expression hardened. You're not the only lever we have, Ms. Carter, but you're the easiest one. Adrian clearly cares about you, about the child. That makes you valuable, but value is relative. The door behind Maya opened. She turned, expecting Adrian's men, expecting extraction. Instead, two men walked in, large, armed, positioning themselves between her and the exit. Touch your ear, Adrian's voice was urgent now. 3 times. Now. Maya's hand moved, but one of the men grabbed her wrist. No sudden movements, Dimitri stood. I'm sorry it has to be this way. Truly. But Adrian needs to understand we're serious. You said you wouldn't hurt me. I said we had no interest in harming you, but interest and necessity are different things. He nodded to the men. Take her to the car. Be gentle. She's pregnant. Everything happened fast. The men grabbed her arms, started pulling her toward a back exit Maya hadn't seen. She tried to signal with her other hand, but they were already moving, already through the door into a kitchen where staff looked away deliberately, already outside into an alley where a black van waited. Adrian's voice was shouting in her ear now, words overlapping, but she couldn't make them out over her own panic. Then gunfire. Sharp, loud, echoing off brick walls. The men holding her dropped, and Maya fell with them, hitting the pavement hard enough to knock the air from her lungs. More shots, shouting in languages she didn't understand. Someone grabbed her, and she fought until she heard Adrian's voice, real this time, not through the earpiece. It's me. Stop fighting. It's me. He pulled her up, half-carried her toward a different car. His shirt was torn, blood on his hands. Not his, she thought, hoped. Behind them, the alley was chaos. Bodies, smoke, people running. Are you hurt? Adrian was checking her over, hands moving quickly, professionally. The baby. I'm fine. We're fine. She was shaking so hard her teeth chattered. What happened? They weren't supposed to move that fast. My teams were positioned wrong. He stopped, pulled her into the car, drove before she even had her seatbelt on. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. That should never have happened. You shot them. Yes. They're dead. Yes. No hesitation, no remorse. They were going to take you. I wasn't going to let that happen. Maya pressed her hands to her stomach, checking, making sure everything felt okay. The baby was still small, still just an abstract concept most of the time, but in that moment it felt desperately real. They knew, she said, about the genetic testing. Adrian's jaw tightened. What genetic testing? I went to a clinic 2 weeks ago. I wanted to be sure about... She couldn't finish. I haven't checked the results. I was too scared. Maya, they think I'm lying about paternity. They think I'm using the baby to manipulate you. Are you? The question shouldn't have hurt. It did anyway. No, I didn't even know you existed until after I found out I was pregnant. I know, I'm sorry. I had to ask. He took a turn too fast, tires squealing. Where's the envelope? The test results? Safe house, top drawer of the dresser. When we get there, you're going to open it. We need to know for sure. Why does it matter? Because if the baby isn't Daniel's, it changes everything. The Russians won't care about leverage that doesn't exist. The other families won't prioritize a child with no Moretti blood. He glanced at her. You'd be safer. And if it is Daniel's? Then we have a different problem. They drove in silence for the next 20 minutes. Maya watched the city blur past, replaying the alley in her head, the gunfire, the bodies. How close she'd come to being in that van, disappearing to somewhere she'd never escape from. Thank you, she said quietly. For what? Coming for me. You could have let them take me, used it as bait to draw out whoever else is involved. I would never do that. Why not? It's practical, efficient. Adrian pulled into the underground garage, killed the engine. Sat there for a moment before answering. Because somewhere in the last few weeks, you stopped being a problem to solve and started being someone He stopped. Started over. You matter. To me. The baby matters. And I don't sacrifice people who matter. Maya didn't know what to say to that, so she just nodded. The safe house felt different when they got back, smaller, less secure. Adrian went through every room, checking windows that didn't exist, locks that were already locked, paranoid but thorough. Maya went to the dresser, pulled open the top drawer. The envelope was there, sealed, official looking. Her name printed on the front in neat block letters. "You want me to do it?" Adrian asked from the doorway. "No, I need to." She tore it open before she could chicken out, unfolded the paper inside. The results were technical, full of percentages and terminology she didn't fully understand. But the conclusion was clear enough. Probability of paternity, 99. 7% Daniel Moretti was the father. "Well," Maya said, voice hollow, "I guess that settles it." Adrian took the paper, read it himself. His expression didn't change, but something in his posture tightened. "All right, then we proceed as planned." "Which plan? The one where people try to kidnap me, or the one where I'm permanently valuable leverage?" "The one where I keep you alive long enough to have this baby safely." He set the paper down. "The Russians made their move tonight. They'll regroup, come at us differently. We have maybe 48 hours before the next attempt. So what do we do?" "We stop hiding." Adrian pulled out his phone. "I'm calling a meeting, all families, everyone Daniel stole from, everyone who has a stake in this. We lay everything out, we negotiate terms, and we end this. You think they'll come to the table?" "They'll come if I make it worth their while." He was already dialing, "and I'm about to make an offer they can't refuse." Maya sat on the edge of the bed, paper still in her hand. 99.7% probability. Not quite certain, but close enough. The baby was Daniel's, which meant it was a Moretti, which meant it mattered to people who thought in terms of bloodlines and legacy, which meant she was stuck in this world whether she wanted to be or not. Adrian talked on the phone in rapid Italian, switching to Russian, then back to English, making promises, issuing threats, whatever it took. Maya watched him work and realized this was who he really was. Not the man who brought her ginger ale and crackers, but the one who could orchestrate violence with a phone call and sleep fine afterward. When he finally hung up, he looked exhausted. "Tomorrow night, neutral location, 5 families plus me." He rubbed his face. "This is either going to solve everything or start a war." "What are the odds?" "Honestly, 50-50. He sat down beside her. "But we're out of options. This meeting happens, or we spend the rest of your pregnancy running from every criminal organization on the East Coast." "Can't wait." "Maya." He turned to face her. "If this goes wrong tomorrow, if things fall apart, I need you to promise me something." "What?" "There's a bag in the closet. Cash, documents, everything you'd need to disappear. If I tell you to run, you take that bag and you go. No arguments, no waiting for me. I'm not leaving you. You might have to." His voice was firm. "This baby deserves a chance at life, even if neither of us makes it to see it grow up. Promise me you'll run if it comes to that." Maya wanted to argue, wanted to say something brave about sticking together, but looking at his face, seeing the absolute certainty there, she just nodded. "I promise." "Good." He stood, headed for the door. "Get some sleep. Tomorrow's going to be long." But sleep didn't come. Maya lay in bed, hand on her stomach, feeling the weight of 99, 7% probability pressing down on her. A Moretti baby. A child that would inherit wealth and power and a legacy soaked in blood. She wondered if Daniel had ever thought about that, if he'd ever considered what it would mean to bring a child into this world. Probably not. Thinking about consequences had never been his strong suit. Somewhere in the apartment, she heard Adrian moving around, making calls, making plans, making sure tomorrow wouldn't be the disaster they both knew it could be. And Maya lay there, carrying a baby she'd never planned for, protected by a man she barely knew, waiting for a meeting that would either save her life or end it. Just another Tuesday in her new normal. She must have dozed off eventually because when she opened her eyes, Adrian was standing in the doorway with coffee. "Thought you might need this," he said. "Decaf." Maya took it gratefully. "What time is it?" 10 a.m. Meetings at 8 p.m. "We have time." "Time for what?" "For you to tell me everything you remember about the night you met Daniel. Every detail, every conversation, anything he might have said that seemed off or significant." Maya sipped the coffee. It was good, better than anything she'd made for herself in months. "Why does that matter now?" Because I'm going into that meeting tonight with every card I can find. If Daniel let something slip, even accidentally, I need to know. He sat in the chair across from her. Start from the beginning. Where did you meet him? A bar in the East Village, the Crimson Room. What was he doing there? Drinking, same as everyone else. Maya thought back, trying to remember details that had seemed unimportant at the time. He was alone, which I thought was weird. Guys like him usually travel in packs. Guys like him? Rich, confident, the kind who expect people to notice them. She set down her coffee. He bought me a drink. Told me I looked like I could use better company than whoever I was with. Who were you with? Rochelle. My coworker. She left around midnight. And you stayed. It wasn't a question, but Maya answered anyway. Yeah, I stayed. He was... She struggled for the right word. Charming. Easy to talk to. Made me feel like I mattered. What did you talk about? Everything? Nothing. The kind of conversation you have when you're 3 drinks in and don't care about tomorrow. Maya wrapped her hands around the mug. He told me he worked in finance, that he was tired of the corporate grind, thinking about doing something different. Did he say what? No, just that he wanted out, wanted to start fresh somewhere new. Adrian leaned forward. Did he mention any specific places? Countries, cities? Caribbean, maybe? He talked about beaches and clear water, but I thought he was just being romantic. Maya's stomach sank. He was already planning to run, wasn't he? Even then. Probably. The timeline matches. He stole the last chunk of money about a week before you met him. Adrian's expression was hard. He knew people would be looking, knew he needed to disappear. And he decided to have one last night of normalcy before it all fell apart. Lucky me. I'm sorry. Stop apologizing for him. It's not your job. Feels like it is. Adrian stood, paced. My whole life has been cleaning up his messes, making excuses, fixing problems. And I'm tired, Maya. I'm so damn tired of it. Maya watched him wear a path in the carpet, saw the weight he carried, the resentment that had been building for what must have been years. Then why keep doing it? Because he's family, because our father would have expected it, because... He stopped. Because I don't know how to stop. Maybe tonight's your chance. He looked at her. Really looked at her. What do you mean? I mean, maybe it's time to let Daniel face his own consequences. Stop protecting him. Stop fixing things. Just let him fall. He'd be killed. Is that your responsibility? Adrian didn't answer, but something in his expression shifted. The rest of the day crawled by. Adrian made more calls. Maya tried to eat, failed, settled for crackers and ginger ale. Caroline showed up around 4 to check the wire, make sure it hadn't been damaged in the chaos from the night before. You did well, she said, pressing around the insertion point. Most people would have cracked. I almost did. But you didn't. That's what matters. Caroline stepped back. Tonight will be harder. More people, higher stakes. You ready? No. Good. Overconfidence gets people killed. She packed up her medical kit. Just remember, you're tougher than they think. Use that. When Caroline left, Maya found herself alone again. Adrian had disappeared to wherever he disappeared to, handling last-minute preparations. The apartment was quiet except for the hum of the ventilation system. Maya pulled out her phone, scrolled through old messages, found the last text from Rochelle sent 3 weeks ago. R. You alive? M. Barely. R. When you coming back? M. Not sure. It's complicated. R. Everything with you is complicated. Miss you, though. M. Miss you, too. She should tell Rochelle the truth. Should explain where she'd been, what had happened. But how do you explain this? How do you tell your best friend that you're pregnant with a criminal's baby, hiding from the mob, protected by an even more powerful criminal who you maybe were starting to care about? You didn't. You just stayed silent and hoped you'd survive long enough to explain later. Adrian came back at 6, carrying a garment bag. You need to change. Into what? He unzipped the bag. Inside was a dress. Simple, black, elegant. The kind of thing Maya had never owned, never had reason to own. Why do I need to dress up for criminals? Because appearances matter. You show up looking scared and desperate, they'll treat you that way. You show up looking composed, they'll think twice before testing you. I am scared and desperate. I know, but they don't need to. He hung the bag on the door. 20 minutes. I need to brief you on who'll be there. Maya showered, changed, stared at herself in the mirror. The dress fit perfectly. Because of course it did. Adrian probably had her measurements memorized by now. Her face looked pale against the dark fabric, circles under her eyes that makeup couldn't quite hide. She looked like someone playing dress-up in a life that didn't belong to her, which, she supposed, was accurate. Adrian was waiting when she came out. He'd changed too, dark suit, crisp shirt, looking every inch the powerful criminal he was. His eyes did that quick assessment thing, pausing on the dress. You look... He stopped, started over. You look good. I look terrified. That works too. He gestured to the couch. Sit. We need to talk through tonight. The briefing took 15 minutes. 5 families represented. The Russians, Dmitri and his associates. The Italians, Marco Santelli and his underboss. The Irish, Connor O'Brien, who apparently had a grudge against the Morettis going back decades. The Albanians, Enver Hoxha, new to the city but making aggressive moves. And the Colombians, represented by someone Adrian called simply the accountant, which sounded more terrifying than any actual name. Each family has stake in what Daniel stole, Adrian explained. Each one wants blood or money, preferably both. Your job is to sit there, say nothing unless directly addressed, and let them see that you're real, that the baby is real, that there are actual consequences to this beyond dollars and territories. And if they don't care, then we have a different kind of problem. The meeting was in a warehouse in Red Hook, chosen because it was neutral territory, and because, Adrian said grimly, it's easy to clean if things go badly. That wasn't reassuring. They drove in silence. Adrian's men followed in 2 other cars, invisible but present. Maya's heart was pounding so hard she could feel it in her throat. Breathe, Adrian said quietly. In through your nose, out through your mouth. It helps. Does it? No, but it gives you something to focus on besides the panic. The warehouse was exactly what she expected. Concrete floors, high ceilings, terrible lighting. A table had been set up in the center, chairs arranged in a circle. Men in expensive suits stood in clusters, talking in low voices that stopped when Adrian and Maya entered. Gentlemen, Adrian said, his voice carried, authoritative. Thank you for coming. Like we had a choice, one of them muttered. Russian accent, probably one of Dmitri's men. You always have a choice. Adrian pulled out a chair for Maya, waited until she sat before taking his own seat. We're here to resolve a situation that's become untenable for all of us. Dmitri leaned back, fingers steepled. By resolve, do you mean return the 50 million your brother stole? I mean find a solution that doesn't result in open warfare between our organizations. Same thing. Not quite. Adrian pulled out a folder, distributed papers around the table. This is a breakdown of what Daniel stole, where it went, and what can be recovered. The short version, he spent approximately 38 million. The remaining 12 million is locked in accounts that require his biometric data to access. Marco Santelli, the Italian, spoke up. So give us access to him. We'll extract the biometrics. And kill him in the process? Is that a problem? Adrian's expression didn't change. It is if you want the full amount. Daniel set up dead man switches. If his vitals stop, the accounts dissolve. Money gets transferred to charities, lawyers, anyone except us. He's bluffing, Enver Hoxha said. The Albanian. No one is that smart. My brother is many things, coward, thief, fool. But he's not stupid. He knew he'd need insurance against exactly this kind of meeting. Connor O'Brien, the Irishman, gestured at Maya. And her? What's she got to do with any of this? She's carrying Daniel's child, Adrian said flatly. A Moretti heir, which means she's been targeted by everyone at this table, which means I've had to divert resources to protecting her, which means this situation affects more than just money. Should have let her die, O'Brien said casually. Would have solved half your problems. Adrian's hand moved faster than Maya could track, slamming O'Brien's head into the table hard enough to crack the wood. The room exploded into motion, men reaching for guns, shouting, chairs scraping back. The woman is off limits, Adrian said, voice deadly calm even as he held O'Brien's head down. The child is off limits. Anyone who disagrees can leave now or stay and test me. For a long moment, No one moved. Then Dmitri laughed, actually laughed. I like you better when you're angry, Adrian. More honest. He waved off his men. No one's touching the girl. We're not savages. Adrian released O'Brien, who came up sputtering and furious, but smart enough not to retaliate. Thank you, Adrian said, smoothing his jacket. Now, the proposal. He laid it out cleanly, precisely. He would personally guarantee return of the $12 million within 90 days. In exchange, Daniel would remain in his custody, alive, to ensure the account stayed accessible. Each family would receive their proportional share plus interest. And most importantly, Maya and the child would be declared neutral parties, off limits in perpetuity. And if you can't deliver? The accountant asked. First time he'd spoken. His voice was soft, almost gentle. Then I'll make up the difference from my own holdings. That got everyone's attention. $12 million wasn't pocket change, even for someone like Adrian. Why? Santelli asked. Why put yourself on the line for your brother's mistakes? Adrian glanced at Maya. Something passed across his face, too quick to name. Because I'm tired of this situation affecting innocent people. And because unlike my brother, I honor my commitments. The discussion went on for another hour. Details, percentages, timelines. Maya sat silent, feeling the weight of eyes on her, knowing she represented something bigger than herself. Not a person, a symbol, a complication, a liability that had to be managed. Finally, around midnight, Dmitri stood. I'll take this to my people. We'll have an answer in 48 hours. One by one, the others agreed. Not enthusiastically, but they agreed. When the warehouse emptied, leaving just Maya and Adrian and his men, she finally let herself breathe. You okay? Adrian asked. You promised them $12 million. I did. Do you have $12 million? I have access to it. Whether I'll need to actually pay it depends on Daniel cooperating. He helped her stand. Come on, let's get you home. But as they walked to the car, Maya caught sight of movement in the shadows. A figure, watching, gone before she could point it out. Adrian, I saw. Get in the car. The drive back was tense, Adrian checking mirrors constantly. But nothing followed them. Nothing happened. At the safe house, Maya finally collapsed, exhaustion crashing over her like a wave. You did well tonight, Adrian said. I know it was hard. Everyone in that room would have killed me without blinking. Yes, but they didn't. Because they understand leverage, and right now you're more valuable alive. He poured her water. Get some rest. We'll hear back from them soon. And then what? Then we see if my gamble paid off. He headed for his room, stopped at the door. For what it's worth, I meant what I said in there. You and the baby are off limits. I'll enforce that with anyone who tests it. Even if it costs you everything? Adrian was quiet for a moment. Even then. He left. Maya sat alone in the dark, hand on her stomach, wondering how she'd ended up here. Wondering if the baby inside her had any idea what kind of world it was being born into. Wondering if any of them would survive long enough to find out. The 48 hours crawled by like something dying. Maya spent most of it in the safe house bathroom, bent over the toilet while her body rebelled against everything. Stress, morning sickness, the prenatal vitamins Adrian kept insisting she take. She'd lost weight instead of gaining it, and the dark circles under her eyes had gone from temporary to permanent. You need to eat, Adrian said for the 100th time, standing outside the bathroom door with another plate of bland food she wouldn't be able to keep down. I need people to stop trying to kill me, Maya shot back. But we don't always get what we want. She heard him sigh, set the plate down. His footsteps retreated, came back. When she finally emerged, weak and shaky, he was sitting on the couch with his laptop, looking just as exhausted as she felt. Dmitri called, he said without preamble. The Russians are in, full agreement to the terms. Maya sank into the armchair across from him. That's good, right? It's 1 out of 5. The Italians are still deciding. The Irish want additional guarantees. The Albanians are playing games, and the accountant hasn't responded at all. What kind of games? The kind where they test boundaries to see what they can get away with. Adrian closed his laptop. Hoxa sent 2 men to the perimeter last night. My guards turned them away, but it was a message. What message? That he doesn't respect the terms we set. that he's willing to push. Adrian's jaw tightened. I'm handling it. How? You don't want to know. He was probably right. Maya pulled her knees to her chest, harder to do now, with the slight swell of her stomach getting in the way. 4 months pregnant. Somehow that had happened while she wasn't paying attention, while her life was falling apart in slow motion. I've been thinking, she said carefully, about what happens after. When this is resolved, when everyone agrees to your terms. What about it? Where do I go? I can't stay in hiding forever, but I also can't just go back to my old life. Everyone knows who I am now, what I'm connected to. Adrian was quiet for a long moment. I've been thinking about that too. And I don't have a good answer yet. He leaned back, rubbed his eyes. The safest option would be to set you up somewhere far from New York. New identity, new life. I'd make sure you had everything you needed, money, security, support. But that assumes you want to disappear, that you want to cut ties with everyone and everything. Maya thought about Rochelle, about the few friends she had left, about the city that had been home her entire life. Then she thought about the alternative, staying here, staying connected to Adrian's world, raising a child surrounded by violence and threats. I don't know what I want, she admitted. That's fair. You don't have to decide now. When do I have to decide? When this is over, when you're safe. He stood up, stretched. Get some rest. I have a meeting with Santelli this afternoon. The Italian guy who wanted to torture Daniel? That's the one. Adrian's expression was grim. He's not happy about the 90-day timeline. Thinks I'm stalling. Are you? Maybe a little. A ghost of a smile. Daniel's more useful to me alive than dead, at least until I can crack his encryption. After that, he shrugged. We'll see. After Adrian left, Maya tried to sleep but couldn't. Her mind kept spinning through scenarios, each one worse than the last. She pulled out her phone, stared at Rochelle's contact for a long time before finally typing out a message. I'm okay. Can't explain everything yet, but I'm safe. The response came immediately, like Rochelle had been waiting. R. Jesus Christ, Maya. 3 weeks of nothing and that's all I get? M. I know. I'm sorry. It's complicated. R. You keep saying that. What does it even mean? M. It means I got involved with the wrong person, and now I'm dealing with the fallout. R. The guy from the bar? The one who ghosted you? M. Yeah. Turns out he had reasons for disappearing. Or is he hurting you? Because I will call every cop in New York if... M. No. He's not. Someone else is protecting me from the mess he left behind. R. Who? Maya stared at the question. How did you explain Adrian, the criminal who'd dragged her into his world, who'd threatened and controlled and manipulated her, but who'd also saved her life multiple times and was currently betting millions on keeping her safe? M. His brother. R. This sounds insane. M. It is insane, but I'm handling it. Are you pregnant? You threw up like 6 times that last shift we worked together. Maya's fingers hovered over the keyboard. The lie would be easier, but she was tired of lying. M. Yes. R. Maya. R. Please tell me you're not doing this alone. M. I'm not alone. The brother is helping. It's weird and complicated, but I'm okay. R. I'm coming over. Where are you? M. You can't. I'm not in the city right now. R. Then when are you coming back? M. I don't know. Soon, I hope. R. This is terrifying. M. I know. I'm sorry. R. Stop apologizing and just stay safe. And call me the second you can actually talk, okay? M. I promise. Maya set down her phone, feeling the weight of that promise. Rochelle deserved better than cryptic texts and half-truths. But the full truth would put her in danger, and Maya had already dragged enough people into this nightmare. She must have dozed off eventually because when she woke up, it was dark outside the one small window in the kitchen, and Adrian was back. He was standing at the counter, pouring whiskey with hands that shook slightly. Bad meeting? Maya asked, voice rough from sleep. He turned, and she saw blood on his collar. Not a lot, but enough. What happened? Santelli disagreed with some of my terms. We had a discussion. Adrian drank the whiskey in one shot, poured another. He's come around to my way of thinking. You heard him. I convinced him. There's a difference. Not much of one. Maya stood up, moved closer. Is any of that blood yours? No. Should I be worried about what you did? Probably, but it bought us time. He set down the glass. The Italians are in. 3 out of 5. What about the Irish and the Colombians? O'Brien will fall in line once everyone else does. He's a follower, not a leader, despite what he thinks. Adrian loosened his tie. The accountant is the real problem. He's not responding to any communication, which means he's either planning something or waiting to see how things play out. What does he want? I don't know. That's what worries me. Adrian shrugged off his jacket, and Maya saw more blood on his shirt sleeve. The accountant doesn't operate like the others. He's not about territory or pride or revenge. He's pure calculation. If he doesn't see the benefit in my proposal, he'll find another solution. What kind of solution? The kind that removes variables instead of managing them. Maya's hand went to her stomach. I'm a variable. You're the variable he'd most likely target, yes. Adrian's voice was matter-of-fact, clinical. Which is why I'm moving you again tomorrow. To where? Marco's estate, my brother's place upstate. At her expression, he added, his kids are there, his staff. It's the most secure location I have access to, and the accountant won't move against children. He has rules. How reassuring. It's something. Adrian poured a third drink, didn't touch it. I need you to trust me on this, Maya. Just a few more days. Once I have all 5 agreements, once the money starts moving, you'll be untouchable. And Daniel? What about him? What happens to him when this is over? Adrian stared at the whiskey glass. That depends on whether he cooperates. If he gives up the account access, if he makes this easy, he paused. I might let him live. Might? He destroyed a lot of lives, Maya, yours included. There are people who want him dead regardless of the money, and I'm not sure I disagree with them. He's your brother. He stopped being my brother the moment he chose himself over everyone else. Adrian finally took the third drink. Family means something in our world. Loyalty, sacrifice, putting the organization above personal gain. Daniel violated every rule, every code. He doesn't deserve protection. But you're protecting him anyway. For now, because he's useful. When he stops being useful, Adrian met her eyes. I won't lose sleep over what happens next. The honesty was brutal. Maya had known Adrian was capable of violence, had seen it firsthand, but hearing him talk about his own brother's death with such cold calculation made her remember exactly who she was dealing with. You should get some sleep, Adrian said, mistaking her silence for exhaustion. We leave early tomorrow. But Maya didn't move. Can I ask you something? Sure. Do you regret it? Any of this? Pulling me into your world, making me part of this? Adrian considered the question for a long time. I regret that Daniel put you in this position. I regret that you're pregnant with a child you didn't plan for, in a situation you don't deserve. But do I regret protecting you? He shook his head. No, I'd do it again. Why? Because you matter. Because that baby matters. And because... He stopped himself. Because I'm tired of watching Daniel destroy good people. It wasn't the full truth. Maya could see that in his eyes, in the way he wouldn't quite look at her. But it was all he was willing to give, so she accepted it. Thank you, she said quietly, for everything, even the parts I hate. You're welcome, even though you probably shouldn't be thanking me. That night, Maya packed the small bag of belongings she'd accumulated. Clothes Adrian had bought, toiletries, the prenatal vitamins she still couldn't keep down half the time. Everything she owned fit in a backpack. Her entire life, compressed into something she could carry on her back. It should have been depressing. Instead, it felt almost freeing. No attachments, no weight, just survival. They left before dawn. The drive upstate took 2 hours through increasingly rural landscape, leaving the city behind for forests and hills and the kind of quiet that felt oppressive after weeks of sirens and street noise. Maya watched the sunrise through the car window and tried not to think about how far she was getting from anything familiar. Marco's estate was different from the beach house where Adrian had first brought her. This wasn't manicured gardens and greenhouse serenity. This was a fortress disguised as a home. High walls, security cameras everywhere, guards at the gate who checked identification 3 times before letting them through. Jesus, Maya muttered. Marco takes security seriously, always has, but especially after his wife died. Adrian pulled up to the main house, a sprawling structure that looked like it had been added onto haphazardly over decades. The kids are good. A little spoiled, but good. They know you're coming. What did you tell them? That you're a friend who needs a safe place to stay for a while. They don't need to know more than that. A woman appeared on the front steps, 50s, stern-looking, wearing an apron that somehow made her look more intimidating rather than less. Adrian? Lucia. He got out, helped Maya from the car. This is Maya. She'll be staying in the East Wing. Lucia looked Maya up and down with the kind of assessment that missed nothing. The pregnant friend. Yes. How far along? 4 months, Maya said, finding her voice. You're small for 4 months. Are you eating? When I can keep it down. Lucia's expression softened fractionally. I had terrible sickness with my first 2. Come inside. I'll make you something that might help. The house was chaos in the best way. Children's voices echoed from somewhere upstairs. Something crashed in what sounded like the kitchen, and a large dog bounded around the corner, tail wagging so hard its whole body shook. That's Bruno, Adrian said as the dog investigated Maya with enthusiastic sniffing. He's harmless. Uncle Adrian! A girl of maybe 8 came running down the stairs, threw herself at Adrian with enough force to make him stagger. You're here! Dad said you were coming, but he didn't say when. Hey, princess. Adrian hugged her back, and Maya saw something in his expression she'd never seen before. Actual warmth. Where's your dad? Office, being boring. The girl noticed Maya. Who are you? I'm Maya. She glanced at Adrian. She's staying with us for a while, Adrian finished. Maya, this is Sophia. Sophie, can you show Maya to her room? I can. Sophia grabbed Maya's hand with sticky fingers. Come on, it's the best room. It has windows on 3 sides and you can see everything. Before Maya could respond, she was being dragged up the stairs by a surprisingly strong 8-year-old, past walls covered in family photos and children's artwork, to a room that was indeed full of windows and light and completely unlike anywhere she'd stayed in weeks. This was Aunt Elena's room, Sophia said, bouncing on the bed, before she got sick. But she liked it when people used it, said it shouldn't just sit empty. It's beautiful, Maya said honestly. The room was done in soft blues and whites, with a view of the grounds that went on for what looked like miles. Are you really pregnant? Sophia asked with the bluntness of children. Yeah. Is Uncle Adrian the dad? No, someone else. Where is he? Far away. The simplest truth. Sophia considered this. My mom's far away too. Dad says she's in heaven, but I think that's just a nice way of saying dead. Maya sat down on the bed next to her. I'm sorry. That's really hard. It was. It's better now, though. Mostly. Sophia swung her legs. You should stay here. It's safe, and Lucia makes really good food, and there are lots of rooms so the baby would have space. I'm only here for a little while. That's what Uncle Adrian said too, but he's been coming here a lot lately. I think he's tired of the city. Sophia hopped off the bed. I'm supposed to tell you lunch is at noon and don't go past the fence because the guards get weird about it. Then she was gone, leaving Maya alone in a room that felt too nice, too normal, too much like a life she couldn't have. She unpacked slowly, putting her meager belongings in drawers that could hold 10 times as much. Found herself crying without really knowing why. Exhaustion, hormones, the overwhelming realization that this was temporary and soon she'd have to leave and figure out what came next. A knock at the door. Adrian's voice. Maya, can I come in? She wiped her eyes quickly. Yeah. He entered, took one look at her face, and his expression shifted. What's wrong? Nothing. Everything. I don't know. She gestured helplessly. This is just, it's a lot. I know. He sat in the chair by the window, keeping distance between them. If it helps, Marco said you can stay as long as you need. His kids already like you, and Lucia's already planning meals around what you can stomach. How does she know what I can stomach? I told her. Crackers, ginger, bland carbs. Not much else lately. The fact that he'd been paying that close attention shouldn't have surprised her. Everything about Adrian was detail-oriented, controlled. Of course he'd noticed what she could and couldn't eat. "Thank you," she said, "for this. For all of it." "Stop thanking me." "I don't know what else to say." Adrian leaned forward, elbows on his knees. "You could tell me what you're thinking, what you want to happen when this is over." "I don't know what I want. That's the problem." Maya pulled her knees up again, that protective curl she'd started doing without thinking. "A month ago, I was serving coffee and barely making rent. Now I'm pregnant, hiding from criminals, living in a mansion with kids who've lost their mother. Nothing makes sense anymore." "What made sense before?" "Nothing really, but at least it was my nothing. I chose it, even if the choices were terrible. And now you feel like you don't have choices." "Do I?" Adrian was quiet for a moment. "More than you think. You could leave tomorrow if you wanted. Take the money I offered, disappear, start over somewhere no one would find you." "Could I really? Or would someone eventually track me down?" "Honestly, with the right resources, probably. But it would take time, and by then the baby would be born. You'd have built a new life. It wouldn't be perfect safety, but it would be something." Maya rested her hand on her stomach, feeling the slight firmness there. In a few more weeks, she'd start showing properly, start looking actually pregnant instead of just bloated. The baby would become real in ways it wasn't yet. "I don't want to run forever," she said quietly. I want my kid to have a normal life. School and friends and boring suburban problems, not looking over their shoulder wondering if their father's mistakes are going to catch up with them." "That's understandable. Is it possible? In our world?" Adrian's expression was grim. "Probably not. But you're not in our world by choice, and that matters. Once this is settled, once everyone's agreed to the terms, your kid can have whatever life you choose. I'll make sure of it." "How?" "Money, security, distance." He ticked them off on his fingers. "The three things that buy safety in any world. I'll set up accounts the kid can access when they're older, protection that follows them without being obvious, and enough separation from the Moretti name that no one connects the dots unless they're really looking." "You'd do that?" "I already said I would." He stood, moved to the window. "Despite what you might think, I don't enjoy watching children suffer for their parents' mistakes. My whole childhood was paying for my father's choices. I won't let that happen to another kid if I can prevent it." Maya joined him at the window, looking out at the grounds where Sophia and two boys were playing some kind of tag game with the dog. "Your niece and nephews seem happy here." "They are." Marco made sure of that. After Elena died, he could have sent them to boarding school, hired nannies, done the minimum. Instead, he moved them here, stayed involved, built something stable. Adrian's voice held something like admiration. "He's a better father than ours ever was." "What was your father like?" "Demanding, ruthless, fair in his own way, but hard." Adrian crossed his arms. "He expected perfection from his sons." Marco delivered. I delivered. Daniel... He stopped. Daniel tried and failed and then stopped trying. "Is that why he ran? Because he couldn't meet expectations?" "Partly. But mostly he ran because he's a coward who couldn't face consequences." The bitterness was sharp. "Our father would have been ashamed." "Your father sounds like he was hard to please." "He was. But he kept us safe, kept the organization strong, maintained peace between families that had been warring for generations. I respected that, even when I hated him for it." A phone buzzed. Adrian checked it, his expression darkening. "I need to take this." He stepped out and Maya heard his voice through the door, sharp and angry in Italian. When he came back 5 minutes later, he looked exhausted. "Problem?" Maya asked. "The accountant finally responded. He's agreed to meet, but he wants it to be just him and me. No guards, no backup, neutral location." Adrian ran his hand through his hair. "It's either a trap or a test, and I'm not sure which is worse. You're not going. I don't have a choice. If I refuse, he'll take it as an insult and we'll lose any chance of agreement." "Then take guards anyway. He can't expect you to walk into a meeting blind." "He can, and he does. That's the point. Showing trust, showing I'm willing to be vulnerable." Adrian's jaw tightened. "It's a power play." He wants to see if I'm desperate enough to take the risk. Are you? I'm desperate enough to end this situation before someone else gets hurt. He looked at her. Which is why I need you to promise me something. What? If something happens to me, if this meeting goes wrong, Marco has instructions. Money, documents, everything you need to disappear. You take it, and you run, and you don't look back. Adrian, promise me, Maya. She wanted to argue, wanted to tell him not to go, to find another way. But looking at his face, seeing the determination there, she knew he'd already decided. I promise, she said quietly. Good. He checked his watch. Meeting's in 3 hours. I should go soon. Beat the traffic. Where is it? Brooklyn, public park, middle of the day. If he wanted me dead, he'd choose somewhere more private. Adrian didn't sound convinced by his own logic. I'll be back by dinner. And if you're not? Then Marco will take care of everything. He left her standing in the room with its 3-sided windows and views of safety that might disappear at any moment. Maya watched him walk to his car, watched it disappear down the long driveway, and tried not to think about what she'd do if he didn't come back. Lunch was awkward. Maya sat at a table with 3 kids who stared at her openly. Lucia, who served food with military efficiency, and Marco, who appeared long enough to grunt a greeting before disappearing back to his office. Uncle Adrian says you're staying for a while, one of the boys, maybe 10, said through a mouthful of pasta. Just a few days, Maya said. Why? Because I need a quiet place to rest. Are you sick? No, just tired. Is the baby making you tired? Sophia asked. Mom was tired all the time when she was pregnant with Nico. The youngest boy, who must be Nico, kicked her under the table. We're not supposed to talk about that. Why not? It's true. Dad gets sad when we talk about Mom being pregnant. Maya felt like she was intruding on something private. It's okay. You don't have to explain. But Sophia was on a roll. Mom got really sick when she was pregnant with Nico, like hospital sick. And then after he was born, she got sick again, different sick, and then she died. Dad says it wasn't Nico's fault, but Nico thinks it is sometimes. It's not, Maya said firmly, looking at Nico. Sometimes people get sick, and it's nobody's fault. It just happens. Nico stared at his plate, not eating. Lucia cleared her throat. Enough talk about sad things. Who wants dessert? The kids perked up immediately, conversation shifting to ice cream flavors, and who got the biggest scoop. Maya excused herself, suddenly exhausted, and went back to her room. She must have fallen asleep because when she woke up, it was dark outside and someone was knocking on her door. Maya? Marco's voice. Adrian's back. He wants to see you. She stumbled out of bed, still wearing her clothes from earlier, and followed Marco downstairs to the office, where Adrian sat with a glass of whiskey, looking more shaken than she'd ever seen him. What happened? Maya asked. Marco left, closing the door behind him. Adrian drained his glass before answering. The accountant knows everything, where you are, who's protecting you, what you're worth. His voice was tight. He's been tracking this situation from the beginning, collecting information, waiting for the right moment. To do what? To make his move. He wants Daniel dead, the money recovered his way, and you... Adrian stopped. He wants you eliminated as a loose end. Maya's blood went cold. What did you tell him? I told him that wasn't an option, that you're under my protection, and anyone who touches you answers to me. Adrian poured another drink with shaking hands. He laughed, said my protection wasn't worth as much as I thought, said if I couldn't deliver Daniel and the money in 72 hours, he'd solve the problem himself. So we have 3 days. We have 3 days to extract $12 million from accounts we can't access without Daniel's cooperation, convince a coward to help us, and somehow keep you alive while doing it. Adrian drank. It's not going well. Maya sat down across from him. What do we do? I don't know. For the first time in my life, I genuinely don't know. He looked at her, and the vulnerability in his expression was startling. I've been in impossible situations before. I've negotiated with people who wanted me dead, made deals that should have failed, survived things I had no right to survive. But this, he gestured helplessly. I can't see a way out that doesn't end with someone I care about getting hurt. Someone you care about. You and the baby. My niece and nephews if the accountant decides to expand his target list. Marco if he gets in the way. Adrian set down his glass. I've spent my entire adult life keeping people safe, and now when it matters most, I'm failing. Maya moved to sit beside him. You're not failing. You're dealing with an impossible situation created by someone else's choices. That doesn't change the outcome. No, but it changes who's responsible. She took his hand, surprising herself. Daniel did this, not you. And whatever happens, you didn't fail. He did. Adrian looked at their joined hands like he wasn't sure what to do with the gesture. You should hate me. I dragged you into this, kept you prisoner, used you as bait. Yeah, you did. And I should hate you. Maya squeezed his hand. But I also know you've kept me alive when plenty of people would have let me die. You've protected me, provided for me, given me choices when you didn't have to. That counts for something. Does it count for enough? I don't know. Ask me when this is over. They sat in silence for a while, hands still joined, both too tired to maintain the careful distance they'd kept for weeks. Outside, Maya heard the kids being put to bed. Lucia's stern voice issuing instructions, the sounds of a normal family doing normal things. I need to see Daniel, Adrian said finally. Tomorrow, before the 72 hours are up. I need to make him understand what's at stake. Will that work? Probably not, but I'm out of better options. He stood, pulling his hand away. You should get some sleep. Tomorrow's going to be complicated. More complicated than today? Significantly. He moved to the door, paused. For what it's worth, I'm glad you're here. Glad you're safe, at least for now. Me too. After he left, Maya lay in the too comfortable bed and stared at the ceiling. 72 hours. 3 days to solve a problem that had been building for months. 3 days before the accountant made his move. She pressed her hand to her stomach, feeling the life growing there. 4 months along. Halfway to being a real person, halfway to entering a world that might not be safe for them. I'm sorry, she whispered to the baby. I'm so sorry you're stuck with me as a mom. You deserved better than this. But the baby didn't answer, just kept growing, oblivious to the countdown ticking away outside. Maya closed her eyes and tried to sleep, knowing tomorrow would bring answers she probably wasn't ready for. Knowing that one way or another, the next 3 days would change everything. Adrian left before sunrise. Maya heard his car in the driveway, the gravel crunching under tires, then silence. She lay in bed watching the sky turn from black to gray to pale blue, counting the hours they had left. 68 now, 67. By the time she made it downstairs, the kids were already at breakfast, arguing over who got the last chocolate chip muffin. Lucia presided over the chaos with the calm of someone who'd seen worse, pouring orange juice and breaking up disputes with a single raised eyebrow. Where's Uncle Adrian? Sophia asked when she spotted Maya in the doorway. He had to leave early, Maya said. Work stuff. He's always working. The middle boy, Maya had learned his name was Thomas, rolled his eyes. Dad says he works too much. Dad works too much too, Nico pointed out. Yeah, but Dad's here. Uncle Adrian's always in the city doing dangerous stuff. Lucia shot Thomas a warning look. Your uncle does important business, that's all you need to know. Important business that makes people bleed, Thomas muttered, but quietly enough that Lucia could pretend not to hear. Maya took a seat at the table, accepted the plate Lucia slid in front of her. Scrambled eggs, dry toast, ginger tea, the same thing she'd been eating for weeks because it was the only thing that stayed down. When's the baby coming? Sophia asked, leaning forward with bright curiosity. Not for a while. 5 more months. That's forever. Sophia wrinkled her nose. Mom said being pregnant felt like forever too, like time slowed down on purpose to make it worse. Sophia, Lucia's voice held warning. What? It's true. She said it all the time. Thomas kicked her under the table again. We're not supposed to talk about Mom with strangers. Maya's not a stranger. She's Uncle Adrian's friend. We don't know that for sure. Dad said she's just staying here temporarily. Maya felt like she was watching a tennis match, head swiveling between the kids. It's okay. You can talk about your mom if you want. I don't mind. But the moment had passed. The kids went back to their breakfast, conversation shifting to less complicated topics. Maya ate mechanically, tasting nothing, her mind on Adrian and wherever he'd gone. To see Daniel, he'd said. To make him understand what was at stake. She wondered if Daniel would care, if he'd ever cared about anyone besides himself. After breakfast, Lucia shooed the kids outside to burn off energy. Maya wandered through the house, restless, ending up in what looked like a library. Floor-to-ceiling bookshelves, leather chairs, windows overlooking the gardens. She pulled out a random book without looking at the title, sank into a chair, and pretended to read. "You're not really reading that." Maya looked up. Marco stood in the doorway, arms crossed, expression unreadable. "No," she admitted. "Just needed something to do with my hands." He walked in, closed the door behind him. Up close, the resemblance to Adrian was stronger than she'd realized. Same bone structure, same intensity in his eyes. But where Adrian was controlled to the point of coldness, Marco seemed barely contained, like pressure building behind a dam. "Adrian told me about the accountant's deadline," Marco said, sitting in the chair across from her. 72 hours. 67 now. Right. He rubbed his face. "My brother has a talent for impossible situations." "Which brother?" "Both of them, actually, though in different ways." Marco leaned back. "Daniel creates the disasters. Adrian tries to fix them, and I get stuck in the middle watching it all fall apart." "You don't have to be in the middle. You could walk away." "Could I?" He gestured around them. "This house, this land, the security that keeps my kids safe, all of it comes from the organization, from the work Adrian does, the deals he makes, the violence he's willing to commit. I'm complicit even when I'm not involved." Maya set down the book she wasn't reading. "Do you resent him for it?" "Sometimes. Most of the time." Marco's expression was complicated. "But I also know he's the reason my kids are alive. The reason we survived after Elena died. He held everything together when I was falling apart. He seems good at that, holding things together. He's had practice. Our father died when Adrian was 19, barely old enough to vote, and suddenly he was running a criminal empire. He didn't have time to grieve or be young or make mistakes. He just had to be perfect." Marco's voice held something like pity. 20 years of being perfect, and now Daniel's trying to destroy it all in one stupid, selfish move. "What was Daniel like before all this?" Marco considered the question. "Charming? Funny? The kind of person everyone liked immediately, but also fragile, I guess. Everything bothered him too much. Criticism, failure, even success sometimes. Like he couldn't handle the weight of being a Moretti. And Adrian could. Adrian didn't have a choice. He was the oldest. The responsibility fell to him whether he wanted it or not." Marco stood, moved to the window. "You know what the worst part is? Daniel could have walked away. Could have left the organization, started a normal life, and Adrian would have supported him, would have set him up with money and connections and made sure he was safe. Why didn't he? Because leaving would have been admitting he couldn't hack it, and Daniel's pride wouldn't allow that." Marco's hands clenched. "So instead he stayed, stole from the people who trusted him, and destroyed lives just to prove what? That he could? That he was smarter than everyone else?" The anger in his voice was sharp enough to cut. Maya understood it. She felt the same anger every time she thought about Daniel, about the casual way he'd ruined her life. "Adrian's going to make him fix this," Maya said. "Or try to. Adrian's going to get himself killed trying." Marco turned back to face her. "That's what you need to understand. My brother would die before he let something happen to you or that baby. He's already decided you're his responsibility, which means he'll sacrifice himself if that's what it takes. I don't want that. Doesn't matter what you want. It's who he is." Marco's expression softened slightly. "For what it's worth, I think you're good for him. First time in years I've seen him care about something that isn't business or obligation. He barely knows me. He knows enough. And Adrian doesn't do anything halfway. Once he commits to protecting someone, it's absolute." Marco moved toward the door. "Just be ready for that, for what it might cost." He left before Maya could respond. She sat in the library for another hour, book forgotten, watching the kids play outside with Bruno. Their laughter drifted through the windows, pure and uncomplicated. The kind of happiness that seemed impossible from where she was sitting. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She almost didn't answer, but something made her pick up. "Maya Carter?" A voice she didn't recognize. Male, accent she couldn't place. "Who is this?" "Someone with information you need." About Adrian Moretti's meeting this morning. Her blood went cold. What about it? He went to see his brother, to convince him to cooperate with account access. The voice was calm, matter of fact. It's not going well. How do you know that? Because I'm watching, and I'm calling to give you a choice. Maya's hand tightened on the phone. What choice? Daniel Moretti is willing to give up the account access. All of it. Every password, every encryption key, everything needed to recover the 12 million. Then why hasn't he? Because Adrian won't agree to his terms. What terms? Freedom, complete immunity, and you. The word hit like a physical blow. Me? Daniel wants you and the baby to disappear with him. New identities, new life, far from New York. He says it's the only way to keep the child safe from the organization. Maya's laugh came out bitter. He doesn't give a damn about the baby. He just wants leverage. Probably true. But the offer stands. The voice paused. You have until tonight to decide. Choose Daniel's offer, and everyone gets what they want. The families get their money, Adrian gets peace, and you get away from all of this. Or you stay with Adrian, the deadline passes, and the accountant solves the problem his way, which, I should mention, involves eliminating every loose end connected to Daniel, including pregnant waitresses. Why are you telling me this? Because I work for someone who prefers clean solutions to messy ones, and this could be very clean if you cooperate. Another pause. Think about it. I'll call back at 6. The line went dead. Maya sat frozen, phone still pressed to her ear, trying to process what she'd just heard. Daniel wanted her, wanted the baby, wanted to use them as his ticket to freedom. And someone, the accountant probably, thought she might actually agree. She should tell Adrian, should call him immediately and warn him that Daniel was playing games, making offers behind his back. But what if the offer was real? What if it was the only way to end this without more bloodshed? Maya stood, paced the library, hand pressed to her stomach where the baby was growing, oblivious to the impossible choice forming around it. Run with Daniel and raise a child with a coward and a thief, always looking over her shoulder. Or stay with Adrian and watch him destroy himself trying to protect her. Neither option was good. Neither option was what she wanted. But wanting had stopped mattering weeks ago. The library door opened. Lucia stood there, expression worried. Are you all right? You look pale. I'm fine. Just tired. You should rest. The baby needs you strong. The baby. Always the baby. Like it was the only thing that mattered, the only reason anyone cared whether she lived or died. Lucia, Maya said carefully, if you had to choose between two terrible options, how would you decide? The older woman considered this. I'd ask which option I could live with after. Not which one was easier, but which one wouldn't destroy me from the inside. She moved closer. Why? What choice are you facing? I don't know yet. Maybe nothing. Maya. Lucia's voice was firm. I've worked for this family for 20 years. I know what their business looks like, what kinds of choices people have to make. Whatever you're dealing with, lying about it won't help. Maya met her eyes, saw understanding there and something like sympathy. Someone offered me a way out, she said quietly, a way to end all of this. But it means going with Daniel, raising the baby with him. Daniel Moretti is a coward and a thief. I know. He would use that child for the rest of its life, manipulate it, warp it, turn it into another version of himself. I know that too. Then why are you even considering it? Because the alternative is watching Adrian get killed trying to protect me. Because the accountant has given us 65 hours, and I don't see how we survive them. Because I'm tired, Lucia. I'm so tired of being scared. Lucia sat down heavily. I understand that feeling. After my husband died, I was so tired I couldn't see straight. Tired of grief, tired of struggling, tired of facing each day, knowing he wasn't coming back. She looked at Maya, but I kept going anyway. Not because I was brave, but because giving up would have meant letting the grief win. And I wasn't ready for that. This is different. Not as different as you think. Lucia reached over, took Maya's hand. That baby inside you deserves better than Daniel Moretti. Better than running and hiding and building a life on lies. And you deserve better than that too. What if better isn't possible? Then you fight anyway. You fight because the alternative is accepting defeat, and I don't think you're the kind of person who does that. Maya wanted to believe her, wanted to find that strength somewhere inside herself, but mostly she just felt empty. The rest of the day passed in a blur. Maya avoided the kids, avoided Marco, avoided everyone. She sat in her room watching the clock tick down. 62 hours. 61. 60. At 4 p.m., Adrian still wasn't back. Maya tried calling him, got voicemail. Tried again. Same result. Panic started creeping in. At 5, Marco appeared at her door. Adrian just called. He's on his way back. Is he okay? He didn't sound okay, but he's alive. Marco's expression was grim. Daniel's not cooperating. Won't give up the account access without guarantees Adrian can't provide. What kind of guarantees? The kind that involve you. Marco leaned against the doorframe. I don't know the details, but Adrian sounded angry doesn't cover it. Furious. Desperate. Maya's phone buzzed. 6 p.m. exactly. The unknown number. I need to take this, she said. Marco nodded, left. Maya answered. Have you decided? The same voice from before. I need to talk to Daniel first. Hear the offer from him directly. Not possible. You'll have to trust that I'm representing his wishes accurately. I don't trust anything about this situation. A sigh. Fair enough. Then let me put it another way. You have 2 hours to decide. After that, the accountant moves forward with his solution, and everyone loses. Everyone except you. I'm just a messenger, Ms. Carter. I don't have stakes in this beyond delivering information. Then deliver this. I'm not making any decisions until I talk to Adrian. Adrian will try to convince you to stay, to trust him to find another solution. But there isn't another solution. This is it. Then I guess we're all in trouble. She hung up before he could respond. Adrian arrived 20 minutes later. Maya heard his car, heard his footsteps heavy on the stairs. He appeared in her doorway looking worse than she'd ever seen him. Bruised knuckles, blood on his collar that definitely was his this time. Exhaustion carved into every line of his face. Jesus, Maya breathed. What happened? Daniel and I had a conversation about consequences. Adrian's voice was rough. It got physical. Did you hurt him? Not as much as I wanted to. He sat down heavily in the chair by the window. He won't give up the accounts, Maya. Won't cooperate. Won't negotiate. Just keeps saying he'll only deal if his terms are met. I know. Someone called me. Told me about his offer. Adrian's head snapped up. Who called you? I don't know. They wouldn't say. But they knew everything about the accounts, about the accountant's deadline, about Daniel wanting me and the baby. What did you tell them? That I needed to talk to you first. Something in Adrian's expression cracked. Relief, maybe. Or just exhaustion finally breaking through the control. I can't give you to him, he said quietly. I know that might be the solution, might be what saves everyone. But I can't do it, Maya. I can't send you off with him knowing what he is, what he'll do. Even if it means everyone dies? Even then. He looked at her. Call it selfish, call it stupid, but I'd rather go down fighting than win by sacrificing you. Maya moved to kneel in front of him, taking his bruised hands in hers. Then we fight, both of us. We find another way. There isn't another way. There's always another way. We just haven't seen it yet. Maya, no, listen to me. She squeezed his hands. For weeks you've been protecting me, making decisions for me, keeping me safe. And I've let you because I was scared and overwhelmed and didn't know what else to do. But I'm done being passive. I'm done letting other people decide my fate. What are you saying? I'm saying we go see Daniel together. We make him understand that this ends one way or another, and he doesn't get to use me as a bargaining chip. We take control back. Adrian studied her face. That's dangerous. Everything's dangerous. At least this way we're choosing the danger instead of waiting for it to choose us. He was quiet for a long moment. Then slowly he nodded. All right, we'll go together. Tomorrow morning. Why not tonight? Because I need to set some things in motion first. Insurance, in case this goes wrong. He stood, helped her up. And because you need rest. You look exhausted. So do you. Yeah, but I'm used to it. He touched her face gently, and the gesture was so unexpected that Maya froze. Thank you for not taking the easy way out. Is staying with you the hard way or the easy way? Honestly, I'm not sure anymore. His hand dropped. Get some sleep. Tomorrow's going to be brutal. But Maya didn't sleep. She lay in bed watching headlights occasionally sweep across the ceiling, listening to the house settle around her. Somewhere down the hall, one of the kids was crying. Nightmare, maybe, or just the weight of missing their mother. She heard footsteps, heard Marco's voice soothing, heard the crying eventually stop. This house was full of people dealing with loss, with trauma, with the aftermath of choices they hadn't made. And somehow Maya had become part of that. Another person shaped by circumstances beyond her control, trying to survive in a world that didn't forgive mistakes. At 2 a.m., there was a knock on her door. Adrian, still dressed, looking like he hadn't even tried to sleep. Can't shut your brain off either? Maya asked. Something like that. He hovered in the doorway. Can I come in? Yeah. He sat in the chair by the window, same spot as earlier. Maya stayed in bed, covers pulled up against the chill. I've been thinking about what you said, Adrian started, about taking control back. And you're right. We've been reactive this whole time, letting Daniel and the accountant and everyone else set the terms. So what do? We changed the game. He leaned forward. Daniel thinks he has all the power because he controls the accounts. The accountant thinks he has power because he controls the deadline. But they're both missing something. What? You. Adrian's eyes were bright in the darkness. You're the only person in this situation who isn't complicit, who isn't bound by the rules of our world. You could walk away tomorrow and no one could touch you. Not legally, not morally. You're clean. I don't feel clean. But you are. And that gives you power they don't have. Power to make choices that would be impossible for me or Marco or anyone else in the organization. Maya sat up. What kind of choices? The kind that end this on your terms instead of theirs. He pulled out his phone, showed her a document. I had my lawyers draft this today. It's a legal agreement that severs any connection between you and the Moretti family. You sign it, and officially you're no longer associated with us. The baby has no claim to the name, no inheritance, nothing. Why would I want that? Because it makes you worthless as leverage. If you're legally not a Moretti, if the baby isn't an heir, then the accountant has no reason to target you. The other families have no interest in you. You become exactly what you were before all this, a waitress who made a mistake. Maya stared at the document. And Daniel? Daniel loses his leverage too. Can't use you to negotiate, can't claim the baby as insurance. He'd be forced to cooperate or face consequences without any shields. You'd really do this? Cut me and the baby out completely? If it keeps you alive, yes. Adrian's voice was steady. I don't care about bloodlines or inheritance. I care about you surviving this. Maya read through the document, legal language she barely understood but got the gist of. By signing, she'd be walking away from any protection the Moretti name offered, but also from any danger it carried. It should have been an easy choice. What happens to you if I sign this? She asked. What do you mean? I mean, you've spent months protecting me because of my connection to Daniel, to your family. If I sever that connection, what's your reason for keeping me safe? Adrian was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was soft. Because I want to. Not because I have to. Not because of obligation or family duty. Because somewhere in all this mess, you stopped being a problem to solve and started being someone He stopped. Someone I care about. You barely know me. I know enough. I know you're stronger than you think. I know you care about people even when they don't deserve it. I know you're trying to do right by a baby you never planned for, in a situation that's impossible. He stood, moved closer. And I know that if something happened to you, it would break something in me I didn't know could break. Maya's throat was tight. Adrian, you don't have to say anything. You don't even have to feel the same way. I just need you to know that signing this document doesn't change how I feel, doesn't change that I'll keep you safe regardless. He set the document on the bedside table, started to leave. Wait, Maya said. If I sign this, if I become legally separate from your family, does that mean I could actually have a normal life after? Like you said before, somewhere far away, starting over. Yes, that's the whole point. And you'd help me do that? Even if it meant never seeing me or the baby again? Adrian's expression was complicated. If that's what you wanted, yes. Maya looked at the document, at Adrian's bruised hands, at the impossibility of their situation. Thought about Rochelle and normal life, and raising a baby somewhere quiet and safe. Thought about never seeing Adrian again, never having someone look at her the way he was looking at her now, like she mattered, like she was worth protecting, like she was more than just a problem. I need time to think about it, she said finally. You have until morning. We leave at 8 to see Daniel. After he left, Maya picked up the document, read it 3 more times. Each time it said the same thing. Sign here and walk away from everything. Sign here and be free. She thought about what Lucia had said. Which option could she live with after? Walking away meant safety, meant a chance at normalcy, meant her baby could grow up without the weight of the Moretti name crushing them. But it also meant leaving Adrian, meant turning her back on the one person who'd fought for her when everyone else saw her as leverage or liability. She touched her stomach, felt the slight firmness there. What do you think? She whispered. What would you want me to do? The baby didn't answer, just kept growing, patient and relentless. Maya set the document aside and tried to sleep, knowing morning would come too soon, knowing that whatever choice she made, someone would pay the price. At 7 a.m., she woke to shouting downstairs. Maya threw on clothes and ran down to find Adrian and Marco in a screaming match in the kitchen, both furious. What happened? Maya asked. Marco turned to her. Someone broke into the facility where we're holding Daniel. 2 guards are dead. Daniel's gone. Gone where? If we knew that, he wouldn't be gone, Marco snapped. Adrian was on his phone, barking orders in 3 different languages. When he hung up, his expression was murderous. The accountant, he said. He took Daniel, left a message saying we have 12 hours to deliver the 12 million, or he starts killing everyone connected to this situation. But we can't access the money without Daniel, Maya said. Exactly. Adrian's voice was flat. Which means the accountant is about to torture Daniel until he gives up the accounts, then kill him anyway. And when that doesn't work because Daniel's an idiot who probably doesn't even remember his own passwords, he'll come for me, Maya finished. He'll come for all of us. Marco slammed his hand on the counter. This is it. This is the end game. We have 12 hours before we're all targets. Maya felt the walls closing in. 12 hours. Half a day. And then what? Adrian's phone rang again. He answered, listened, went pale. Are you sure? How many? He hung up, looked at Maya. The accountant just sent men to the estate. They're surrounding the property. We're trapped. Outside, through the kitchen window, Maya could see them. Black cars at the gate, men with weapons taking positions around the perimeter. Professional, organized, patient. Get the kids to the safe room, Adrian told Marco. Now. And then what? And then we figure out how to survive the next 12 hours. But looking at the men outside, at the guns and the cold efficiency of it all, Maya wasn't sure survival was even an option anymore. The game had changed, and they were already losing. The safe room was in the basement, behind a wine cellar that looked ordinary until Marco pressed his palm to a hidden scanner. The wall slid open, revealing a space that could have housed 20 people. Steel-reinforced walls, ventilation system, supplies for weeks. The kids filed in quietly, too quiet, understanding without being told that this wasn't a game. Stay here with Lucia, Marco told them. Don't open this door for anyone except me, Adrian, or Maya. Understood? Sophia nodded, clutching her younger brothers. She looked scared but trying to be brave, the way kids do when they don't want to make things worse. Uncle Adrian? She called as he turned to leave. Yeah, Princess. You're coming back, right? The question hung in the air. Adrian crouched down to her level. I'm going to do everything I can to make sure we all come back. That's not a yes. No, he admitted. It's not. Sophia hugged him hard. Then be careful, because if you die, I'm going to be really mad at you. Despite everything, Adrian smiled. Fair enough. The wall sealed shut behind them. Maya, Adrian, and Marco stood in the wine cellar listening to the locks engage, multiple layers of security clicking into place. They'll be safe there, Marco said, more to himself than anyone else. Even if everything else goes to hell, they'll be safe. For how long? Maya asked. If the accountant takes this house, he won't. Adrian's voice was hard. We don't let it get that far. They went back upstairs. Through the windows, Maya could see more men arriving. 8 now, 10, 12, setting up positions, checking weapons, settling in for what looked like a siege. Adrian's phone rang. He answered on speaker. Mr. Moretti. The voice was calm, almost pleasant, different from the messenger who'd called Maya yesterday. I assume you've noticed our presence. Kind of hard to miss. Good. I wanted to ensure we had your full attention. A pause. My name is Rafael Santos. People call me the accountant because I'm very good at balancing books. And right now, the books are extremely unbalanced. Where's my brother? Nearby, being encouraged to remember his passwords. The pleasantness in Santos's voice didn't waver. Unfortunately, Daniel seems to have forgotten a great deal, or perhaps he never knew as much as he claimed. Either way, it's becoming clear that recovering the funds may be more complicated than anticipated. So you're cutting your losses. I'm eliminating complications, starting with the ones in that house. Santos sounded almost apologetic. I gave you ample opportunity to resolve this peacefully. Multiple deadlines, generous terms. You chose not to cooperate. You changed the terms when you kidnapped Daniel. I expedited the timeline. There's a difference. Some papers rustling on the other end. Here's what's going to happen. You have 2 hours to transfer $12 million into accounts I'll provide. I don't care where you get the money, your personal holdings, your organization's reserves, rob a bank for all I care. Just produce the funds. And if I do, then I take the money, kill Daniel for being an incompetent thief, and we all move on with our lives. The other families get their restitution, you maintain your reputation, and the pregnant woman in your house gets to have her baby in peace. And if I can't, then my men come inside. They eliminate everyone in the house, burn it to the ground, and I go to the other families explaining that the Moretti organization couldn't honor its debts. Your reputation is destroyed, your family is dead, and I still eventually recover what I'm owed by liquidating everything you own. Santos paused. Frankly, Mr. Moretti, the second option is more profitable for me. I'm only offering the first one because I prefer clean endings. Adrian's knuckles were white around the phone. 2 hours. 2 hours. The clock starts now. The line went dead. Marco was already moving to a safe, pulling out files and laptops. How much liquid capital do we have access to? Maybe 6 million without raising alarms. Another 3 if I pull from investments, but that'll take time we don't have. That's 9 million. We're short 3. I'm aware. Adrian was typing furiously on his phone. I'm reaching out to everyone who owes us favors. Maybe we can scrape together enough. Maya stood there watching them work, feeling useless. This was their world, money and debts and favors, the currency of criminals. She didn't belong here, didn't understand how to value lives in dollars. There has to be another way, she said. There isn't. Marco didn't look up from his laptop. We produce the money or we die. Those are the options. What about the police? Both brothers looked at her like she'd suggested flying to the moon. We can't involve police, Adrian said carefully. Even if they believed us, even if they responded fast enough, it would expose everything. The organization, our operations, every family we're connected to. It would start a war that would make this look like a minor disagreement. So we just accept that this maniac gets to murder people for money? We accept that this is our world and it has rules. Adrian's voice was tired. I know you don't like it. I don't particularly like it either, but it's reality. Maya moved to the window, watched the men outside. They looked bored, patient, like they did this every day. Maybe they did. Her phone buzzed. Text from an unknown number. There's still time to take Daniel's offer. Walk away from this. Save yourself and the baby. She stared at the message, then showed it to Adrian. His expression went dark. They're in the house. Have to be. That's not going through normal channels. What does that mean? Means someone on the inside is working for Santos. Marco was already moving, checking rooms, looking for whoever had sent the message. Adrian pulled Maya close, voice low. Do you still have that document I gave you? The one severing your connection to the family? In my room. Go get it. Sign it. Right now. Adrian, please, Maya. If this goes bad, if they get in here, that document might be the only thing that saves you. His eyes were desperate. Sign it and date it, take a photo, send it to this number. He wrote down digits on a scrap of paper. That's my lawyer. He'll file it immediately, make it official. That doesn't guarantee Santos will honor it. No, but it's a chance. More than you have without it. Maya ran upstairs, found the document, signed it with shaking hands. Took 3 photos from different angles, sent them to the lawyer with a message. File this immediately. Emergency. The response came back in seconds. Filing now. Will be official within the hour. Are you safe? Maya didn't know how to answer that, so she didn't. When she came back downstairs, Marco had found the leak. One of the house staff, a young guy who did maintenance, was backed against the wall with a gun to his head. How much did they pay you? Marco's voice was deadly calm. I didn't have a choice, the kid stammered. They said they'd kill my sister if I didn't help. Help how? Just send messages. Let them know what was happening inside. I swear I didn't know they were planning to… Shut up. Marco cocked the gun. Adrian, your call. Adrian studied the kid for a long moment. Let him go. What? Let him go. If Santos wanted him here as a spy, then keeping him here gives Santos information. Send him out. Marco lowered the gun slowly. You're making a mistake. Probably, but I'm tired of killing people who are just trying to survive. Adrian gestured to the door. Go. Tell Santos we're working on getting his money. Tell him we need the full 2 hours. The kid ran, practically fell out the front door. Maya watched him sprint toward the cars at the gate, saw the accountant's men grab him, pull him aside. You think that bought us anything? Marco asked. Maybe 30 minutes of them thinking we're cooperating. Adrian checked his watch. We're at 7 million now, 5 more to go, and 90 minutes left. Maya's phone buzzed again. The lawyer. Document filed and official as of 8:47 a.m. Maya Elizabeth Carter is no longer legally connected to the Moretti family. The child has no claim to inheritance or name. Do you need anything else? She showed Adrian. He read it, nodded once. Good. That's done. Now what? Now we keep trying to find money we don't have. He went back to his phone, making calls in Italian that got progressively more desperate. Maya wandered through the house, restless. Ended up in the library where she'd talked to Marco yesterday. Was that only yesterday? It felt like years ago. She pulled out her own phone, looked at Rochelle's last message. Just stay safe. Maya typed slowly. If something happens to me, I need you to know something. The response was immediate. Maya. What's going on? I'm in trouble. Bad trouble. And I need you to promise me that if I don't make it, you'll make sure my baby gets to good people. Not the father, not his family, good people. You're terrifying me. I know. I'm sorry. Just promise. I promise. But you're going to be fine. You hear me? You're going to get through this, and we're going to laugh about how dramatic you're being. I hope so. Where are you? I'm coming to get you. You can't. It's too dangerous. I don't care. Tell me where you are. Maya looked out the window at the armed men, at the siege forming around them. Thought about Rochelle driving into this situation, getting caught in crossfire, dying because Maya had dragged her into something she didn't understand. I can't. I'm sorry. I love you. You're the best friend I ever had. She turned off her phone before Rochelle could respond. Couldn't risk her tracking the signal, trying to help, getting killed for it. In the main room, Adrian and Marco were arguing again. We're not going to make it, Marco said flatly. We're at 8 million and we're tapped out. Everyone who owes us favors is either broke or refusing to get involved. Then we stall longer. Santos won't wait. You heard him. He wants this over. Then we fight. Against 15 armed men with military training, we have 4 guards total and they're outgunned 3-1. Marco threw his files across the room. This is suicide. So what do you suggest? We just give up? Let them come in here and kill everyone? I'm suggesting we make a deal. Give him Maya. The room went silent. Adrian moved faster than Maya could track, had Marco against the wall, forearm pressed to his throat. Say that again. You heard me. Marco didn't fight back. We give him Maya and Daniel, let them both go. Santos gets his leverage back, we get time to actually find the money. No. Adrian, be reasonable. I said no. Adrian's voice was shaking with rage. She's not a bargaining chip. She's not collateral. She's not part of this. She became part of this the second she slept with Daniel. That's not her fault. I don't care whose fault it is. I care about my kids in that basement, about keeping them alive. Marco shoved Adrian back. You want to die protecting her? Fine, but don't take the rest of us down with you. Adrian looked like he'd been slapped. You'd really do this? Trade her life for yours? To save my children? Yes. Without hesitation. Marco's expression was hard. And you would too, if you weren't so busy playing hero. Maya stepped between them. Stop, both of you. They turned to her, both breathing hard, both furious. Marco's right, Maya said quietly. Maya, Adrian started. I'm the reason this is happening. I'm the reason Santos is here. The reason we need $12 million we don't have. Me and the baby. She touched her stomach. If giving me to Santos saves everyone else, absolutely not. It's not your choice, Adrian. It's mine. Maya met his eyes. I signed that document. I'm not a Moretti anymore, which means you don't get to make decisions for me. I won't let you do this. How are you going to stop me? She moved toward the door. I'll walk out there myself if I have to. Adrian grabbed her arm. Please, there has to be another way. There isn't. You know there isn't. Maya pulled free gently. Thank you for protecting me, for caring when you didn't have to. But this is where it ends. She was halfway to the door when it exploded inward. The blast knocked Maya off her feet. Her ears rang, vision blurred. Through the smoke, she saw figures moving. The accountant's men coming in fast. Gunfire erupted. Adrian returned fire from behind an overturned table, shouting for Marco to fall back. Maya crawled toward the wall, hands over her stomach, trying to make herself small. Someone grabbed her. She fought until she realized it was one of Adrian's guards, pulling her toward the back of the house. The safe room, he shouted over the noise. We need to get you. His head snapped back, blood spraying. He dropped, dead before he hit the ground. Maya ran, didn't know where she was going, just away from the gunfire and the smoke and the bodies. Found herself in the kitchen, pressed against the wall, trying to breathe through the panic. The shooting stopped. Footsteps. Slow, deliberate. Ms. Carter? A calm voice. Santos. I know you're here somewhere. There's no point hiding. Maya stayed silent. I've taken control of the house. Your protectors are either dead or about to be. This is over. Santos appeared in the doorway. Mid-40s, distinguished looking, wearing a suit that probably cost more than her old apartment. He could have been a banker. I'm not going to hurt you. You have my word. Your word doesn't mean much. Fair enough. He stepped closer. But consider your options. You can come with me peacefully, or my men can drag you out. Either way, the outcome is the same. Where's Adrian? Alive for now. Disarmed and secured in the other room. Santos checked his watch. Your 2 hours are up, Ms. Carter. Time to balance the books. Maya's hand went to her stomach. The baby was still there, still growing, oblivious to the nightmare around it. The baby isn't a Moretti, she said. I signed documents this morning. It's official. Check with the courts if you don't believe me. Santos pulled out his phone, made a call, spoke in Spanish. Waited. His expression shifted. Interesting. You actually did it. So I'm worthless to you. No leverage, no value. Not quite. You're still pregnant with Daniel's child. That has value, legal documents or not. He gestured for her to stand. Come along. Don't make this difficult. What are you going to do with me? Use you to convince Daniel to cooperate. If he won't give up the accounts to save himself, perhaps he'll do it to save his child. He won't. Daniel doesn't care about anyone but himself. We'll see. Santos's men appeared, weapons trained on Maya. She stood slowly, hands raised, and let them walk her back to the main room. The destruction was worse than she'd imagined. Furniture blown apart, walls scorched, blood everywhere. 2 of Adrian's guards were dead. The other 2 were on their knees, hands behind their heads. Adrian was against the far wall, held by 2 men. His face was bruised, lips split, but he was alive. When he saw Maya, something in his expression crumbled. I'm sorry, he said. I'm so sorry. It's okay. Maya tried to smile. You did everything you could. Touching. Santos gestured for his men to bring Daniel in. They dragged him in from somewhere outside. Daniel looked terrible, beaten, terrified, barely able to stand. When he saw Maya, he actually started crying. I'm sorry, he sobbed. I never meant for any of this. I just wanted... Shut up. Santos pulled out a gun, pressed it to Daniel's head. Last chance. Account passwords. All of them. Right now. I can't. The encryption requires... I need my computer. Santos shot him in the leg. Daniel screamed, collapsed. Maya flinched, looked away. Account. Passwords. Santos cocked the gun again. Or the next one goes in your head. Okay. Daniel was sobbing, blood pooling under his leg. I'll give you everything, just please. He rattled off passwords, account numbers, security codes. Santos had someone typing it all in, verifying access. 5 minutes later, the man nodded. We're in. Full access to all accounts. Santos smiled. See? That wasn't so hard. He looked at Maya. Your child's father is a coward, Ms. Carter, but at least he's a cooperative coward. Then he shot Daniel in the head. Maya screamed. Adrian lunged forward, got hit hard enough to drop. That's for wasting my time, Santos said calmly, holstering his weapon. The money's being transferred now, should be complete within the hour. He turned to his men. Kill the guards. Leave Adrian alive long enough to watch everything he built fall apart. Then kill him too. Wait. Maya's voice was stronger than she felt. You have the money. You have what you wanted. Let them go. I'm not in the business of leaving witnesses, Ms. Carter. I'm a witness. You're not killing me. You're pregnant. Different situation. Santos checked his watch again. Besides, you might still be useful. Insurance, in case the Moretti organization tries to retaliate. The document means nothing to me. You're still carrying Moretti blood. That's enough. He nodded to his men. Take her to the car. Kill everyone else. They grabbed Maya's arms. She fought, useless against their strength. Watched them point guns at the guards, at Adrian. And then the safe room door opened. Marco came out firing. Must have been listening through cameras, waiting for the right moment. His first 3 shots took down 3 of Santos's men before they even realized what was happening. Chaos erupted again. Maya was dropped, scrambled away as bullets flew, saw one of Adrian's guards grab a weapon from a fallen man, start returning fire, saw Adrian break free from his captors, grab a gun, turn it on Santos. Move and you're dead, Adrian said. Santos raised his hand slowly. Around them, the gunfire was stopping. Marco's surprise attack had evened the odds, and the remaining men were surrendering or fleeing. Adrian moved closer to Santos, gun never wavering. Give me one reason I shouldn't kill you right now. Because you need me alive to call off the other teams. You think this is the only operation I have running? I've got men positioned at every property your family owns. Kill me, and they burn it all down. He's bluffing, Marco said. Am I? Santos smiled. Make the call. See what happens. Adrian's hand shook. Maya could see him calculating, weighing options. Finally, he lowered the gun slightly. Marco, tie him up. We're going to verify his story before we decide anything. It took an hour to sort through the aftermath. Santos's claim was real. He had teams ready to strike at multiple locations, but Adrian had leverage too. With the account access Daniel had given up, they'd frozen the transfers. Santos had gotten into the accounts, but the money hadn't moved yet. They negotiated in the destroyed living room, Maya sitting off to the side, still shaking. Here's the deal, Adrian said. You call off all your teams, every single one. We verify they're gone. Then we release the funds, 12 million, as agreed. And what do I get for trusting you? Your life, plus the money. That's the deal. Santos considered. And the girl? Goes free. No conditions, no strings. You don't touch her, don't threaten her, don't even think about her. She's done with this world. She's carrying nothing that matters to you. Adrian's voice was hard. We both know the baby stopped being leveraged the second she signed those documents. You were just being greedy. Santos smiled faintly. Perhaps. He made the calls one by one, ordering his teams to stand down. Marco verified each one, watching surveillance feeds on his laptop. One by one, the teams withdrew. When the last one was confirmed gone, Adrian released the transfers. $12 million split between 5 criminal organizations minus Santos's fee for brokering the deal. "Pleasure doing business," Santos said as they untied him. He straightened his suit, seemingly unconcerned about the gun still pointed at his back. "Mr. Moretti, you're a man of your word. I respect that. Get out of my house." Santos left, taking his surviving men with him. They loaded the bodies into vehicles, cleaned up just enough to not leave obvious evidence, and disappeared like they'd never been there, except for Daniel's body still lying in the middle of the room. Marco covered it with a sheet. "I'll handle the cleanup. You two should get out of here." "The kids," Adrian started, "are fine. Scared, but fine. I'll take care of them." Marco looked at Maya. "You should go. Start that new life you signed up for. Today's your chance." Maya looked at Adrian. He was staring at his brother's body, expression unreadable. "Adrian?" she said quietly. He turned to her. "You're free. Legally, officially free. Take the money I promised you, go anywhere you want, start over." "Is that what you want?" "What I want doesn't matter. You deserve a normal life." "That's not an answer." Adrian was quiet for a long moment. "I want you to stay. I want to help you raise that baby, be part of your life in whatever way you'll allow. But I also know that's selfish. You've been through hell because of my family. You should get as far away from us as possible." Maya touched her stomach, felt the life growing there. Thought about everything that had happened, everything she'd survived. Thought about Adrian, who'd protected her when he didn't have to. Who'd cared when everyone else saw her as a tool. "I don't want to run forever," she said. "I don't want to be alone, raising a baby in some random city where no one knows me. What do you want?" "I want..." She paused. "I want to choose my own future, not have it chosen for me by fear or obligation or other people's expectations." "Okay, so choose." Maya looked around the destroyed house, at Marco standing guard over his brother's body, at the blood staining the floors. This world had nearly killed her, nearly killed the baby inside her. But it had also brought her Adrian, had shown her she was stronger than she'd ever imagined, had given her somehow a strange kind of family. "I want to stay," she said. "Not in this house, not in this life exactly, but nearby, close enough that you can be part of this baby's life if you want to be. Close enough that I'm not alone." Adrian's expression shifted. "You're sure?" "No, but I'm sure I don't want to leave." He moved closer, took her hands carefully. "I can't promise it'll be easy. My world has a way of pulling people back in. I know, and I can't promise I'll always make the right choices. I don't need perfect, I just need honest." Adrian pulled her into a hug, and Maya let herself lean into it, let herself cry for everything that had happened, everyone they'd lost. When they finally pulled apart, Marco was watching them with an expression that might have been approval. "You're both idiots," he said. "But at least you're honest idiots." The months that followed were complicated. The baby grew despite everything, and Maya grew with it. Adrian set her up in an apartment in Brooklyn, far enough from his world to feel safe, close enough that he could visit regularly. He came to every doctor's appointment, helped pick out furniture for the nursery, held Maya's hair back when morning sickness turned into all-day sickness in the second trimester. He also dealt with the aftermath of Daniel's death. The families who'd gotten their money were satisfied, but there were still debts to manage, relationships to rebuild, territory to secure. Maya tried not to think about that part, tried to focus on the baby, on building something stable. At 7 months, she finally told Rochelle everything. They met at a coffee shop, and Maya laid out the whole story. Daniel, Adrian, the accountant, all of it. Rochelle listened without interrupting. When Maya finished, she was quiet for a long time. "That's insane," she said finally. "I know. You could have died. I know that too. And you're staying near him, near that world." Maya touched her stomach, feeling the baby kick. "I'm staying near someone who cares about us. The world comes with it, but I don't know. It feels worth it." Rochelle shook her head. "You're braver than me, or crazier. I honestly can't tell which. Probably both." They rebuilt their friendship slowly. Rochelle met Adrian, was clearly suspicious of him, but eventually warmed up when she saw how he was with Maya. how he listened when she talked, how he made sure she had everything she needed without being controlling. At 8 months, Maya went into early labor. Scared her half to death until the doctor said it was just false contractions. The baby wasn't ready yet. Adrian stayed with her through the whole thing, held her hand, looked more terrified than she'd ever seen him.
I thought I was going to lose you, he admitted afterward. You almost did, several times. I know, and every time I realized how much he stopped, how much I need you in my life. Need or want? Both. Maya squeezed his hand. I feel the same way. Took me a while to admit it, but I do. Even knowing what I am, what I do, I don't love what you do, but I love who you are when you're with me. She smiled. That's enough. At 39 weeks, actual labor started. Fast and brutal. No time for epidurals or calm breathing exercises. Maya screamed through most of it, crushed Adrian's hand, threatened to kill him for putting her through this, even though technically he hadn't. 10 hours later, at 3 a.m. on a Tuesday, she gave birth to a healthy baby boy. The nurse placed him on her chest, this tiny screaming thing that was somehow hers, and Maya felt everything shift. All the fear, all the trauma, all the questions about what came next, none of it mattered compared to this moment. He's perfect, Adrian whispered, touching the baby's tiny hand. He's really loud, Maya said, but she was smiling. They named him James. No middle name, no connection to the Moretti family. Just James Carter, starting fresh. Adrian held him while Maya slept, this powerful criminal cradling an infant with surprising gentleness. When she woke up hours later, he was still there, watching James with an expression she'd never seen before. What are you thinking? Maya asked. That I'd burn the whole world down to keep him safe. Let's maybe not do that. Okay, but I would. James grew fast. 1 month, 2 months, 3. Maya moved through the exhaustion of new motherhood, learning to function on no sleep and cold coffee. Adrian was there more than she expected, changing diapers at 2 a.m., walking James around the apartment when he wouldn't stop crying, researching baby gear with the same intensity he probably brought to criminal enterprises. You're good at this, Maya said one night, watching him rock James to sleep. I'm terrified every second that I'm going to mess him up. That's called parenting. Is it working? Look at him, he loves you. It was true. James's eyes tracked Adrian whenever he was in the room, reaching for him with tiny hands, calming down just from hearing his voice. At 6 months, Adrian asked the question Maya had been waiting for. Move in with me. They were at the park, James asleep in his stroller, enjoying rare sunshine. Move in where? Maya asked. I bought a house, not the estate, not anything connected to the organization. Just a house. Big yard, good schools nearby, quiet neighborhood. He looked nervous. More nervous than she'd seen him facing down armed criminals. I know it's fast. I know we haven't defined what this is, but I want us to be a family, the 3 of us. Maya thought about her apartment, safe and separate from Adrian's world. Thought about what it would mean to give that up, to tie her life even more closely to his. Thought about James, who deserved a father, who deserved to grow up knowing he was wanted, loved, protected. Okay, she said. Okay? Yes, let's be a family. Adrian's smile was worth everything. They moved in 2 months later. The house was beautiful, modern but warm. Space for James to grow. A garden Maya immediately started planning. Marco visited with his kids, who immediately adopted James as their new favorite person. Sophia especially, carrying him around and explaining all the important things he needed to know about being part of their family. Is Uncle Adrian your boyfriend now? She asked Maya during one visit. It's complicated. That's what grown-ups always say when the answer is yes, but they're being weird about it. Maya laughed. You're probably right. That night, after everyone left, after James was asleep, Maya found Adrian on the back porch staring at the yard. Penny for your thoughts? She asked. Thinking about how different this is from what I expected my life to be. Good different or bad different? Good. Scary, but good. He pulled her close. I never thought I'd have this. A family that wasn't built on obligation or bloodlines, just choice. We chose you too. I know. Still doesn't feel real sometimes. Maya leaned into him, comfortable in the silence. Inside, James made small sleeping noises through the baby monitor, their son, their family. A year after everything fell apart, Adrian asked her to marry him. They were on the roof of his old building in Manhattan, the one where he'd first taken her after pulling her into this world. The city spread out below them, a million lights in the darkness. I know this isn't traditional, Adrian said, holding a ring that probably cost more than most cars. I know we've done everything backwards. But Maya, you and James, you're the best thing that ever happened to me, and I want to make it official. I want the world to know you're mine and I'm yours, and we're choosing this every day. Maya looked at the ring, at Adrian, at the city where she'd been so scared and lost and broken. Yes, she said, but on one condition. Anything. You get out. Completely. No more organization. No more criminal work. No more putting yourself in danger. James needs a father who comes home every night. Adrian was quiet for a long moment. You're asking me to walk away from everything I've built. I'm asking you to build something different. With us. He took her hands. I'll do it. It'll take time to transition everything to Marco, to make sure it's stable. But I'll do it. For you. For James. For us. They got married 6 months later in a small ceremony. Rochelle was maid of honor, Marco was best man, and James babbled through the whole thing from Lucia's arms. It wasn't perfect. Adrian's transition out of the organization was messy, creating tensions with families who didn't understand why he was leaving. There were threats, complications, moments when Maya wondered if they'd made a mistake. But slowly, gradually, he pulled away. Handed off responsibilities, severed connections, became something closer to legitimate. 2 years after James was born, Maya found out she was pregnant again. Unplanned, like James, but this time wanted. This time built on something solid. Adrian cried when she told him, actual tears, happy ones. We're doing this on purpose this time, he said, hand on her stomach. No running, no hiding, just family. Just family, Maya agreed. Their daughter was born on a spring morning, healthy and loud and perfect. They named her Elena, after Marco's wife. Sophia cried when she heard, said it was the best name ever. Maya watched Adrian hold their daughter, watched James toddle over to investigate his new sister, and felt something settle in her chest. This was what she'd been fighting for. Not safety, not money, not even love exactly. Just this, a choice she'd made, a family she'd built, a life she'd claimed from the wreckage of everything that tried to destroy her. Years later, when James was old enough to ask questions, Maya told him the truth, an age-appropriate version anyway, that his biological father had made bad choices, that Adrian had stepped in, that family was more than just blood. James listened carefully, then said, "So Dad's not my real dad?" "He's your real dad in every way that matters," Maya said. "He chose you, chooses you every single day. That's more real than anything else." James thought about this. Okay, that makes sense, and that was it. No crisis, no identity struggle, just acceptance. On James's 10th birthday, Adrian took him aside, had a conversation Maya wasn't privy to. When they came back, James was grinning. "What did you two talk about?" Maya asked. "Dad told me about my biological father, the whole story." James bounced on his heels. "He said I should know the truth now that I'm old enough to understand." "And how do you feel about that?" "I feel like I'm glad Dad's my dad and not that other guy." James hugged Adrian. "This is better." Adrian looked at Maya over their son's head, eyes bright. This was better. All of it. The past still existed, Daniel's choices, the violence, the fear, but it didn't define them, didn't own them. They'd built something new from the wreckage, something strong and real and theirs. And every night, when Maya tucked James and Elena into bed, when Adrian wrapped his arms around her and they stood watching their kids sleep, she remembered how close they'd all come to not existing. How one terrible choice by a selfish man had somehow led to this. She didn't believe in fate, didn't think things happened for a reason, but she believed in fighting for what you wanted, in choosing family over fear, in building something beautiful from broken pieces, and standing there with Adrian, with their children safe and sleeping, with a future spreading out before them full of ordinary, beautiful moments. That was enough. More than enough. That was everything.